The girl had been starving for days without food, so she instinctively reached for a mud-covered radish. Just then, the little girl noticed her and tugged at the woman's clothes.
Look at her ear.
The mother turned her head and saw a pitiful little girl.
Poor thing. Where's your family? Come along, we can't have young girls wandering the roads. We're just 2 farms over.
The little girl turned to glance in the direction of her home, then followed the woman back to her doorstep. The man, seeing a strange girl following behind, seemed displeased. Later, as the girl drew in her hand, watching the happy siblings before her, she revealed a long-lost smile.
Everyone wash up for supper. I will not send her away. She's a child.
We have children of our own. It's too dangerous. But someone wants them all dead for a reason. People will talk. Just look at her ears.
She sadly gazed at her own ears reflected in the water, then touched them with her hand, only to draw out a small knife and slowly raise it towards her ear. Her name was Xiaomei, and she grew up in the peaceful Black Blood tribe, untouched by conflict. One day, as the siblings played in the jungle and spotted an adorable elk, just as they were about to approach it, an arrow suddenly flew and struck it. It turned out to be the handiwork of a young boy. Seeing the dead elk, he furiously charged, tackled the boy, and straddled him, delivering a beating. Soon, his mother arrived and called out to him, stopping him. However, black blood began to flow from his nose. Back home, his mother wiped away his nosebleed and then asked why everyone hated them.
They don't hate us. At least not all of them.
Little did they know, a brutal massacre was about to unfold, as a group of fully armed soldiers had already surrounded them. A white-haired elder, however, declared,
"No one left alive. If even one black blood escapes, this is all for nothing."
First, set their homes ablaze, then prepare bows and arrows, and shoot them down immediately as they emerge. Soon, flames engulfed the sky, and screams filled the air. The unarmed tribespeople could only await their demise. The mother, in a panic, embraced him, just as the tribal chief rushed over. In an instant, the chief was struck by a volley of arrows. The mother, however, closed her eyes. Blue specks of light illuminated her face, and she began to chant a spell. Soon, a blue aura appeared behind her. The mother was immediately struck by arrows, collapsing to her knees in agony. Finally, she transferred the blue specks of light to Xiaomei's face. Having spoken, the mother collapsed. The next second, a man wielding an axe appeared before him. In a critical moment, the mother rose, delivered another strike, and then succumbed. Soon, he escaped into a stone tomb, followed by a masked figure in black robes. The masked figure drew his bow, and with no escape, he closed his eyes. Suddenly, blue specks of light ignited on his face. As the masked figure shot an arrow, a hand emerged from the aura, blocking the projectile. Xiaomei, too, was stunned by the inexplicable arm. Soon, the halo vanished. The masked figure once again drew their bow, a hint of goodwill seemingly present in their gaze. The masked figure shifted position, deliberately missing the shot. Xiaomei looked utterly bewildered. Why would the masked figure spare her? He then stated that the last sprite had already been shot dead by him.
"She's dead."
It was then that the white-haired leader smugly retreated. Overnight, the Black Blood tribe was reduced to ash. At this moment, he tearfully gazed at his deceased mother and the younger brother with whom he had grown up, shedding sorrowful tears. He picked up the small knife from his mother's hand and gripped it tightly. Deep within her heart, a seed of vengeance had now been sown. To survive, she cut off an ear that was different from others. 13 years later, with the scar still clearly visible, she embarked on her path of vengeance. Traveling alone at night through a forest, a figure suddenly flashed past. She turned to see a man with a rotting face, a tongue studded with teeth protruding from his mouth. Terrified, she turned and fled, but before she could get far, her path was blocked. Xiaomei fought back desperately, but these attackers seemed unkillable. She was instantly struck down to the ground. The man again extended his tooth-studded tongue from his mouth. Suddenly, an arrow flew, followed by several other strange figures being shot down by arrows. It turned out to be an officer from the border patrol who had saved her. Before long, Xiaomei followed the officer into the city. She arrived at a tavern, hoping to get something to eat. As soon as she entered, she noticed a white-bearded old man staring intently at her. At this very moment, a captain clad in a red battle robe entered. She immediately realized, wasn't this the soldier who had massacred her entire tribe all those years ago? She had seen him clearly back then. At this moment, a murderous intent had awakened within Xiaomei. She called a server and instructed them to continuously bring the captain drinks, telling them to say it was complimentary from the tavern. Afterward, she returned to her room to rest and gather her strength. Several hours later, the captain was thoroughly drunk and had removed his armor, yet his sword remained always at his side. Xiaomei then followed him inside. Disregarding the captain, who was relieving himself against the wall, she drew her knife and approached.
You mind waiting for me to finish?
I've waited 13 years, that's long enough.
My. That's a vicious tone. Sounds like vengeance.
The captain drew his twin blades and turned, only to see a young girl. He then asked Xiaomei for whom she sought revenge. Xiaomei replied that it was for the Black Blood tribe. The captain mused, weren't they all wiped out? How is there still one left? Xiaomei asked him why he had annihilated the entire Black Blood tribe. The captain uttered but a single sentence.
We were well paid.
Who paid you?
Kill every Black Blood.
With that, the two began to fight. Although the captain had imbibed a little too much, the bronze-ranked Xiaomei was no match for him. In the end, they each exchanged a blow, but he fell to the ground, critically wounded and unconscious, while Xiaomei's vision gradually blurred. Suddenly, a mysterious figure appeared before her, withdrew the two swords from her body, and then carried her away to safety. Before his death, the captain used his own blood to write a message, telling Zaid, one remains. The city guard officer touched the black bloodstain on the wall, and curiously put some to his mouth to taste it, then turned to question his subordinate.
You ever seen blood like this?
The subordinate also sniffed it, then made a gesture indicating long ears. The officer walked over to the captain's body and observed the words written in blood. Zaid was the leader of the highest legion, and a contract army captain dying on his territory suggested that he would rather die than let Zaid know about this matter. Therefore, he concealed it, intending to investigate it himself. The dying Xiaomei was rescued by a white-bearded man. Possessing the black bloodline, her wounds healed rapidly. Yet, she inquired why the white-bearded man had saved her. The white-bearded man explained. All my life, I have studied the prophecies of the Black Blood tribe. When the Kens is fiery red, the Black Blood tribe will summon a monster to conquer and purge the tyrants of the old era. Having spoken, he produced a slip of paper. Xiaomei showed no interest in the prophecy. The white-bearded man stated that it belonged to the Black Blood tribe. Xiaomei took the slip of paper. The white-bearded man cautioned her that the words on it should only be pondered in her heart, and under no circumstances should they be uttered aloud until the time was right. Back in the tavern, Xiaomei was awakened by a dream. Curiously, she took out the slip of paper and began to recite the incantation written on it. Blue luminous points suddenly lit up on her face, and a blue halo appeared before her eyes. First, a claw emerged, followed by a colossal monster that stepped out from the luminous circle. The monster slowly approached her.
Let go away!
Since the monster had escaped by jumping out the window, she took the slip of paper and sought out the white-bearded man once more. He informed Xiaomei that the summoned monster was named Lakirui, which the common folk called the devil. If she could not send it back, she would have to quickly learn to control it, or else it would indiscriminately slaughter innocents. Xiaomei's bloodline, however, was capable of controlling it. Soon, the monster claimed several lives within a few days. That night, she found the monster, but it refused to obey her. It pierced her body with a claw, then stared at Xiaomei for a moment before suddenly passing out. When she awoke and pushed open the door, she saw the monster lifting a man. Xiaomei tried to communicate with it in the language of the Black Blood tribe, and the monster immediately reacted. Seeing that the monster understood, she drew a small knife and loudly commanded it. However, the monster instead pierced the man's body, threw him out the window, and then leaped out to escape. Soon, the city guard officer learned of Xiaomei's secret and prepared to torture her. Just as his subordinates were about to lower their knives, the monster crawled up from underground, instantly terrifying the officer into a state of bewilderment. The monster picked him up like a chicken, but Xiaomei commanded it to stop.
Then die!
The monster released its claw.
Better cut me loose.
The monster slowly approached the soldiers. Seeing this, the soldiers secured the ropes and released Xiaomei. At that moment, the captain who had once saved her rushed in. Xiaomei immediately told him to stand back and spoke to the monster.
Nakim! You're Nakim!
Reluctantly, the monster leaped down. The captain then questioned Xiaomei, asking if she and the monster were responsible for those murders. Xiaomei explained that she had been unable to control the monster before, and this was the first time it had obeyed her. Soon after, Zad, the supreme commander of the Legion, also learned that a member of the Black Blood tribe was still alive. Years ago, fearing the Black Blood tribe's ability to summon monsters, he had ordered the slaughter of their entire tribe. Unexpectedly, one had escaped. To prevent future troubles, he once again dispatched assassins from the Bone tribe. Meanwhile, Xiaomei found the old man with the white beard, telling him she didn't know how to open a portal to send the monster back. The old man with the white beard also did not know. Xiaomei's ancestors had feared that this power might be used for destruction, and so they had hidden the answer. Xiaomei would have to discover it on her own. Shortly after she left, the Bone tribe assassins found the old man with the white beard. It turned out that the old man with the white beard before them was the one who had deliberately misdirected the sword years ago. The old man with the white beard admitted it. Why would the assassins believe his nonsense? They pierced the old man with the white beard with a sword. That night, as Xiaomei went to find the monster, the assassins secretly followed her. As they searched anxiously, the monster appeared behind them. The screams put the gunmen on high alert. After the monster dealt with 2 henchmen, it also confronted the gunmen. The cunning gunman quickly ran into a cell, cut the chains, and the iron door instantly fell. The monster could not enter. Suddenly, Xiaomei attacked from behind.
So Dread was right. You Black Bloods can control these monsters.
Within a few rounds, Xiaomei had sustained several stab wounds, and finally, her sword was struck down. The monster nearby grew anxious watching the bronze-level Xiaomei. She secretly clutched the dagger at her waist. Xiaomei opened the iron door, allowing the monster to enter. The monster slowly approached. She commanded the monster to return to where it belonged. The monster then extended its claws, stabbing towards her chest. The monster retracted its claws. Xiaomei saw the scars on her arm and remembered that it was the monster who had taken a fatal sword blow for her years ago. Seemingly realizing something, she began to chant a spell. Blue points of light instantly illuminated. Suddenly, a blue portal appeared behind the monster. Xiaomei loudly commanded the monster to return to its own world.
Nakim!
It reluctantly obeyed the command. By the time Xiaomei arrived, Whitebeard was already on the verge of death. She pulled up her sleeve and only then realized that Whitebeard was responsible for the massacre of her entire clan. He told Xiaomei that while he didn't take pride in it, he felt no remorse. If he hadn't been there at that time, he wouldn't have been able to find and save Xiaomei. At this moment, Xiaomei didn't know whether to hate or to love him. Whitebeard told Xiaomei,
Promise me, you'll fulfill the prophecy.
I don't even know what the prophecy is.
It's humankind's only hope. Find the Book of Names. You haven't much time. The Dragman is coming.
After speaking, Whitebeard passed away. Just as Xiaomei was looking for information about the registry, the tavern owner's son burst in. This seemingly foolish person was named Jianzhe. In reality, he was wise disguised as foolish, spoke 12 languages and scripts, and had an IQ of 250. He stated that the High Legion destroyed the Endarians because ancient fables were all written in Endarian, and without anyone to translate them, the High Legion could fabricate stories at will. Xiaomei asked him to help find a book called the Tome of Names. Soon, Jianzhe finally understood that the Tome of Names actually contained the names of monsters. He said that if Xiaomei mastered the names within, she could summon an army of monsters. Meanwhile, Rosamund Gwen, daughter of the Supreme Commander, approached Xiaomei, wanting her to join and help overthrow the High Legion. In fact, she was not the commander's daughter, but the king's daughter, the sole heir. The High Legion controlled the entire empire because the commander's daughter had impersonated the princess and died in her stead, allowing the true princess to survive. However, Xiaomei had not yet agreed to her proposal. A few days later, they found information regarding the Tome of Names. A map revealed that the Tome of Names was hidden in a mountain temple, located deep within the territory of the Ash-Skin tribe. The three immediately set off. Concurrently, Zaid of the High Legion also learned the tome's location and dispatched his strongest female assassin. As soon as the female assassin entered the territory, she killed an Ash-Skin tribesman, cutting off flesh from its body to roast and eat, a testament to her brutality. Meanwhile, as the trio arrived in the Ash-Skin territory, they stumbled into a trap. Soon, Xiaomei and her companions were captured by the fierce, towering Ash-Skin tribesmen, bound to stakes, awaiting their turn to be devoured.
No, you don't want to eat me! Stop! Please don't eat me! I haven't watched for weeks!
Just as Jianzhe was about to be carried away to be eaten, Xiaomei began chanting a spell. Instantly, a portal appeared nearby, and a monster crawled out from within. It then severed the ropes with its claws. Xiaomei untied the captain's ropes, then rescued Jianzhe, who was about to be thrown into a pot. The monster alone fended off the Ash-Skin tribesmen, while the three fled in disarray. Xiaomei, with black blood flowing through her veins, possessed the highest bloodline of the monsters, who would obey her absolutely, even unto death. The monster was ultimately slain by the Ash-Skin tribe. Meanwhile, Jianzhe had learned the temple's location. Unexpectedly, the female assassin had already arrived, finding slain monks, victims of the Ash-Skin tribe, lying on the ground. On the altar was a triangular indentation. The assassin inserted her knife, retrieving a blob of dark, viscous fluid. She touched the fluid with her finger, sniffed it, then ignited it with a torch. Instantly, a stone chest popped out from beneath the altar, containing the Tome of Names. She took it out, flipped through it, tore off one page, and then burned the rest of the book. By the time Xiaomei and the others arrived, the book had already turned to ash. Jianzhe remarked that it was unlikely a book for which an entire temple was built could be so easily destroyed. Suddenly, Xiaomei noticed something unusual on the side of the book and pulled out a copper-like object. Jianzhe surmised that this must be the Tome of Names, but he did not know how to read the information within. Meanwhile, Supreme Legion Commander Zad arrived at the outpost with several hundred soldiers. His objective was to replace the local commander and eliminate Xiaomei of the Black Blood clan.
Why are your gates shut to me?
It's always closed at night against our enemies, plaguelings.
But surely you do not see us as your enemies.
Open the gates.
Because the commander failed to open the gate in time, he was killed on the spot by Zad. This demonstrated the brutality of the Supreme Legion. Following this, all women's hands were cut open, the reason being to find Xiaomei of the Black Blood clan. To avoid detection, the princess, who had been hidden for many years, took refuge in the dungeon. Subsequently, she was rescued through a secret passage by an officer who had just returned from punishment in the mines. As Xiaomei and the captain climbed up from outside the city, they were immediately surrounded by Zad's forces. Shortly after, Jianzhe also hitched a ride on a rope and was pulled up. Xiaomei stealthily tucked the register into a box. Zad cut Xiaomei's hand with a knife, and indeed, her blood was black.
As black as ink.
Xiaomei was hoisted up. Zad then took out a spell from a piece of paper, forcing her to summon a monster. Xiaomei stated that nothing would happen. Zad did not believe her words.
Whose neck shall I stretch to get you to cooperate?
He used the captain as a threat, though he secretly wished to summon the monster himself. However, the monster, in an attempt to save the three of them, had already been killed by the Ash Fiends. Just as the soldiers were about to hang the captain.
All right,
Xiaomei had no choice but to pretend to recite the spell. Seeing that nothing happened, Zad became alarmed and wary of his surroundings. Just as their procession was announced, several mysterious figures emerged from the mine, dispatched some guards, then blended into the crowd. Instantly, an alarm rang out from the city walls.
An army approaches!
What color?
Yellow banners, Ambassador! Prepare for battle!
The mysterious figures hidden within the crowd began their assault, and the archers on the city walls were quickly eliminated. The young girl accompanying Zad also took advantage of the chaos to escape. The soldiers controlling the city gates were also neutralized, and the gates were swiftly opened. It turned out to be the princess who had previously escaped through the secret passage.
Rescue the prisoners, take back the outpost!
Having brought in the army stationed at the border, both sides plunged into a chaotic battle. Zad ordered his soldiers to kill Xiaomei first. Just as the soldier was about to act, Xiaomei was rescued by another soldier.
What are you doing?
Unexpectedly, he was a friend of the captain. Subsequently, everyone on the platform was rescued. Xiaomei quickly joined the battle as well. Unexpectedly, the captain's friend was ambushed by Zaid from behind. The captain wanted to pursue, but was stopped by the soldiers. Zaid picked up the black robe from the ground, preparing to escape. At this moment, Xiaomei picked up 2 knives and rushed over as well. After pursuing him into a room, the two began to fight.
You're good.
Good enough to beat Magma and Shek. And now you.
Currently, Xiaomei has advanced to the gold rank, possessing formidable combat power. After a few rounds, Zaid was easily apprehended. Just as he was about to avenge his family, he was stopped by the arriving princess.
He killed my family too. He will be sentenced to death. But not without a proper trial.
That night, the princess held a public trial for Zaid. The next morning, the death sentence was to be carried out immediately. However, good people often meet an untimely end, while villains seem to live forever. A handmaiden by the princess's side secretly released him. The reason was that Zaid had kidnapped her family. Xiaomei discovered in a book that only a dragger could understand the Song of Fire in the registry. Upon hearing the Song of Fire, Xiaomei seemed to realize something. He placed the registry onto a flame. Suddenly, the registry began to emit an ancient sound. Xiaomei was instantly astonished as well. No one could understand the sounds emanating from within. Xiaomei speculated that perhaps only a dragger could comprehend it. At this moment, Zaid suddenly attacked.
You should have left the outpost when you had the chance.
I don't leave loose ends.
He was not in a hurry to escape. Instead, he was determined to eliminate Xiaomei, as the black bloodline was a thorn in his side. When the sneak attack failed, he took Xiaomei, whose IQ was supposedly 250, hostage. However, Xiaomei took a red-hot iron and directly struck his face with it. In a fit of rage, Xiaomei was stabbed by him. Xiaomei immediately launched a fierce assault against him. As Xiaomei had been stabbed and required immediate hemostasis, Xiaomei was compelled to let him escape for the time being. Zaid fled outside the city, where the female assassin previously sent to search for the registry found him and brought back a page from a book, claiming it as proof that the registry had been burned. At this point, the female assassin demanded payment. The cunning Zaid stated that he would pay double the price if she protected him safely back to the capital. Meanwhile, Xiaomei picked up the registry, intending to place it on the fire. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening was heard. Xiaomei quickly drew a knife. The young girl emerged. Surprisingly, it was the mysterious girl who had always been with Zard. Meanwhile, the registry continued to burn in the fire. The girl lowered her head, wrote a line of text in the book, and handed it to Xiaomei. Xiaomei looked at it, and to her surprise, it was the name of a demon.
Is this the Lukiri name? Who are you? Who are you?
I'm the Dragman.
A blue light instantly illuminated Xiaomei's face. Meanwhile, the princess inherited the throne in the barren lands, embarking on a long journey. the captain assembled a team to pursue the escaped Zard, discovering their tracks in an abandoned dungeon. As the group searched with torches, an arrow suddenly flew towards them. Zard quickly approached and eliminated a soldier, while the female assassin nearby also took down one. The remaining 3 men, panicked, formed a defensive posture. After only a few rounds, the captain easily subdued Zard, but just as he was about to act, he was stabbed through the body from behind by the female assassin and fell dead. The soldiers hiding in the shadows frantically fled. This time, Zard had finally returned to his stronghold. On Xiaomei's side, the registry emitted ancient sounds, which the girl quickly recorded, giving Xiaomei the name of a monster.
We've been here for days. Is this really the only name you're going to give me?
Xiaomei asked the girl if there were thousands of monsters inside the portal. To help the princess defeat the Supreme Legion, would they need to summon them one by one? The girl, however, nodded. Xiaomei first attempted to summon this monster. After preparing her weapons, she began to chant a spell. The blue light points on her face illuminated once more. Instantly, a portal appeared before her. A colossal monster slowly emerged. Suddenly, a pair of human feet stepped out of the luminous circle. Xiaomei could hardly believe it. The woman slowly removed her mask. Her eyes, filled with righteous fury, betrayed a murderous intent. Gazing at the woman before her, she instantly recalled another of her kin whom she had met 13 years prior. After her entire clan was wiped out, she was adopted by a kind family. To survive, she had stoically cut off the part of her ear that distinguished her from others. Despite her young age, she possessed a kind heart. To help his family survive the harsh winter, her adoptive father was forced to hunt a wild deer. Seeing Xiaomei's sadness, her adoptive father explained to her.
Remick will feed us all winter talent. We'll use every part. And every time it fills our hungry bellies, we'll remember its life. And be grateful.
It was then that Xiaomei slowly found peace, but the tranquility was short-lived. One day, as she went to fetch water, disaster struck once more. When she returned with the water, she found her entire adoptive family brutally murdered. Just as she was about to rush over and investigate, a man appeared before her. It turned out he and Xiaomei were both members of the Black Blood tribe, though from different clans. His purpose in coming was to seize the Aster gem that Xiaomei's mother had bestowed upon her face just before her death. Possession of the Aster gem was said to open a portal, summoning an army of monsters. The man grabbed her hand, and the blue glowing marks on her face suddenly lit up. Xiaomei swiftly kicked the man in a vital spot. As he fell, she scrambled to pick up a small knife from the ground, then swung it backhandedly, striking him directly in the heart. Even in his dying moments, he could not believe that he had been killed by a young girl within minutes of his appearance. From that moment on, Xiaomei learned how to survive in this cruel world.
We only kill to survive.
Back in the present, just as the woman was about to summon more monsters, Xiaomei quickly sealed the portal. It was revealed that the man she had killed as a child was, in fact, her own brother. With a command from the woman, a monster struck Xiaomei, sending her flying several meters. The woman drew her knife and slowly advanced towards Xiaomei. Xiaomei instantly lost consciousness. Soon after, Jianzhe woke her. Xiaomei quickly sensed if the Aster gem within her was still present. At that moment, the small creature also lit up with blue glowing marks. It turned out that the Aster gem could only be transferred to another with its owner's consent, otherwise, it would perish along with its owner. Thus, the woman had not killed Xiaomei, but had instead abducted the dragoon. Xiaomei, armed with 2 knives, prepared to pursue them. Following the monster's footprints, the two tracked them to a forest, where the tracks abruptly vanished. Suddenly, the woman materialized before them. She then explained that centuries ago, her people were exiled to another world, a grey-blast dimension, a hellish prison where thousands of black bloods still lived. Only by opening a portal could they be rescued. She had taken the dragoon as a hostage to free more of her kin. Xiaomei did not believe her lies, declaring that if the woman harmed innocent humans, she would be her enemy. Xiaomei demanded that she return the dragoon.
We want the same thing.
And I want the girl back!
Are you all right?
Xiaomei, undeterred by being knocked to the ground, leapt up again, only to be swatted several meters away by the monster. Xiaomei rose, still unwilling to give up, and once again walked up to the monster, letting out a roar. The monster mimicked her provocation, then turned and walked away. Due to the immense disparity in strength, they were unable to rescue the dragged electrician this time and had to seek another opportunity. Meanwhile, in the imperial capital, 3 figures, covered in flour, stood imposingly. The woman in the center was Ili III, who had usurped the throne. Zad, having failed to eliminate the queen and Xiaomei of the Black Blood clan, faced severe punishment from the elders. The suffering Zad declared that he had brought back a trophy, at which point the punishment against him ceased. The person brought in was none other than the captain who had not been killed earlier. Unexpectedly, he was still alive. Zad proposed that they could use him to provide intelligence to suppress the queen's rebellion. Ili III agreed with his idea. The captain was then taken to the infirmary, and Zad, having escaped a death sentence, was imprisoned. Xiaomei once again found the fierce Black Blood woman, and this time, the dragged electrician was also safe and sound. Xiaomei stated that if the woman agreed to lead the Black Blood people and the monsters to help the queen defeat the High Legion, she would transfer the Astro Gold, which opens the portal, to her. The woman joyfully agreed. Xiaomei placed her hand on the woman's face, and blue light particles slowly moved towards her arm. Just as they were about to be transferred to the woman, the dragged electrician shook his head. Xiaomei quickly retracted her hand, pulled out the other's small knife, and took her hostage.
Tell it to stop, or I won't hesitate to kill you.
Stay there.
Go with Jianzhou.
After Jianzi and the other person left, Xiaomei knocked the woman unconscious and departed. Upon arriving home safely, she handed Xiaomei the pendant from her neck, which turned out to be a key. His mission was to deliver the key and the list of monsters to the Chosen One. Xiaomei was the Chosen One foretold by the prophecy. Next, Xiaomei placed the registry on a fire, which then emitted ancient melodies. The dragged electrician quickly noted down every name, and in a flash, a pile of monster names appeared. Just then, the queen requested to see Xiaomei, and Jianzi left with her. Suddenly, the fierce woman appeared before the little girl. What one cannot obtain, one must destroy. The woman drew a small knife and killed her. When Jianzi returned, he saw Xiaomei holding the deceased girl, and the list of monster names had all been burned away. She could no longer forgive herself for those who had died because of her. Suddenly, Jianzi discovered the name of the last monster in the girl's hand. Unable to obtain the item that opens the portal, she sought out the queen. Naturally, the queen would not agree to her demands. So, the woman, facing her ring, summoned her monster. The monster instantly burst in from outside the door. The queen was left utterly bewildered with fright. A spear was casually tossed to its master. After receiving the weapon, she swiftly dispatched a guard. Meanwhile, with just a gentle swing, the monster took care of 2 guards. The cruel woman then seized the queen. At her command, the monster obediently closed the gate, acting as a guard dog. She then instructed them to bring over Xiaomei. If she didn't come, she would cut off the queen's toes, one by one, and feed them to the monster.
And when I run out of toes, I start cutting off fingers.
The maid left in a panic. Upon hearing the news, Xiaomei grabbed a knife and charged straight ahead, but she was stopped by the arriving Jianzi, who warned that the woman had a monster with her, and going there would only be a futile sacrifice. Jianzi told Xiaomei that she had to open the portal and summon the entity associated with the last name left to her by the Electro-bearer before their demise. To save the queen's toes, she unhesitatingly struck a pose and began to chant the spell. Blue light points lit up, and a portal once again appeared before her eyes. She loudly called out the monster's name, and the monster quickly emerged. Xiaomei felt very nervous. Then, another person emerged beside the monster. A man slowly walked over and removed his mask. Xiaomei stared intently at him, thinking that all the Black Blood clan members were as evil as the woman who had taken the queen hostage. She cried out, drew her knife, and attacked.
Why is that thing attacking us? Or her?
No one's ordered it to. That's the order.
What did he say?
educated guess, something along the lines of killed them all painfully.
He told it not to hurt us. Bad call on his end.
You understood me. Are you a black blood? Your ears.
I cut the points off. I'm getting sick of explaining it!
Soon, Xiaomei was thrown to the ground by him. The man belonged to another tribe and harbored deep hatred for the cruel woman, as she had killed his own sister. Realizing that the man was not truly evil and unable to defeat him, Xiaomei had no choice but to borrow his monster to rescue the queen. For the queen's safety, she asked the man to wait there first. Meanwhile, on the queen's side, the baron who had previously come to propose marriage to her, using drunken boxing movements, crashed in through the window. The woman, facing her ring, summoned a monster, and soon the monster opened the door and entered. He had intended to perform a heroic rescue, but the monster was not accustomed to his bad habits. It simply picked him up and threw him out of the window.
What are you looking at?
Just as the queen was about to have her toes cut off, Xiaomei also climbed in through the window and promised to transfer the Astrakhan before opening the portal to the woman, but only if the queen was released first. Xiaomei had been asked for it once before, but this time, the woman's attitude was extremely firm, and she immediately summoned her monster to enter. Xiaomei also quickly attempted to summon, but nothing happened. Seeing that she was about to be attacked, she had no choice but to devise a delaying tactic. She told the woman that if she released the queen, she would lay down her weapons and submit to her will. And she also worried that the Astrakhan might be damaged during the fight, so she reluctantly released the queen. Xiaomei dropped her weapon and slowly knelt down. The woman signaled the monster to act, just as it approached her. Suddenly, it sprang from the window. Suddenly, the woman received a dagger handed to her, instantly parrying the spear meant to assassinate the princess. Immediately after, Xiaomei fiercely counterattacked. After several rounds, unexpectedly, the monster grabbed her from behind. At a critical moment, the man shot the monster from outside. The woman, who would not survive 2 episodes, was ultimately eliminated by Xiaomei.
I may not be the one, but neither are you.
Having just been saved by Ched, Xiaomei slowly began to trust him and returned the ring that controlled the monsters to him. Having witnessed the terror of the monsters and the Black Bloods firsthand, the queen, disregarding Ched's life-saving grace, ordered Xiaomei to send them back. And for the first time, Xiaomei felt disappointed in the queen. During her time with Ched, Xiaomei developed feelings for him, but she secretly defied the queen's order and covertly kept Ched at home. Being unable to stay idle, he discovered a secret in Jan's laboratory. Xiaomei looked at the pattern on the paper and suddenly remembered the key the Dragolectors gave her before their death. Ched stated that if the legend was true, this key could unlock immense power and solve the problems of their people and the queen. Xiaomei believed that immense power would only create more trouble. Meanwhile, in the imperial capital, Captain Garrett, previously captured, donned the imperial armor and knelt before Ely III. At this moment, he was completely devoid of familial affection due to the drug, becoming a puppet of the Empire. To test Garrett's loyalty, he had his father, who had kindly come to retrieve his body, captured and ordered him to kill his own father. And he, without hesitation, plunged the knife into his father's body. This brainwashing drug, which eradicates familial bonds, was hundreds of times more potent than pyramid schemes. His performance earned the Flower Man's approval, and he was immediately bestowed the name Blade of the Third. He was ordered to return to the outpost, kill Xiaomei of the Black Bloods, and capture the queen alive. The next day, all the livestock in the market had been killed, and everyone believed it must have been the monsters. A little while later, the queen, accompanied by a group of soldiers, burst into Xiaomei's home and took Ched captive. The queen once desired an army of monsters to help her defeat the Supreme Legion. However, now she had developed a fear of the monsters. Under Xiaomei's threat, the queen agreed to let Ched stay, while the monster had to return to the portal. The reason Xiaomei kept Ched was to clarify something. Her mother could have brought the Black Blood people home, but she chose not to. Xiaomei needed Ched to help her figure it out. That night, Soldiers lined the city walls. Xiaomei and Ched slowly walked out. Ched aimed the ring on his finger and uttered a summoning sound. Suddenly, a giant monster emerged from the mist. Blue light spots quickly illuminated Xiaomei's face. Instantly, a portal appeared behind the monster. Ched reluctantly told it to go back. The monster shook its head, unwilling to return. After it left, Xiaomei instantly closed the portal, and the queen also breathed a sigh of relief. Separated from the monster for the first time, Ched was incredibly sad. At this moment, Xiaomei told him that she now knew where to find the missing blue gem from the mysterious key she had received earlier. The two then embarked on a treasure hunt. As evening approached and they prepared to set up camp, Xiaomei went to find something to fill their stomachs. Just as she was about to shoot a squirrel, the sound of a horse neighing came from the woods. Xiaomei quickly raised her bow and aimed, but unexpectedly, Garrett slowly rode out on his horse. Xiaomei's face showed utter shock. It was Captain Garrett, who had supposedly died pursuing Zad. Everyone believed he was long gone. In the first episode, he had selflessly rescued Xiaomei. Their bond was exceptionally deep. At that very moment, the captain drew the dagger from his waist and mercilessly plunged it into Xiaomei's body. She never imagined her best friend would stab her. Because he had been severely brainwashed by Ili 3. Severely wounded, Xiaomei was now no match for him and could hardly believe Garrett would kill her. As he showed no mercy and was about to strike, Xiaomei instantly transported herself through a portal. On the other side of the portal was an ash-laden dimension, a hellish world where the air was filled with volcanic ash, making it unbearable and difficult to breathe. Xiaomei quickly fell unconscious. By the time Ched arrived, she was nowhere to be found. On the ground, however, lay Xiaomei's sword and some traces of black blood. Meanwhile, in the ash-smoke dimension, several black blood tribesmen discovered her. When one man respectfully examined her, he noticed human ears, drew a small knife, and prepared to strike a fatal blow. Suddenly, Xiaomei calmly opened her eyes and instantly knocked the man to the ground. Unable to adapt to the dimensional world, she painfully summoned a portal. After kicking the man away, she swiftly jumped into the portal and returned. Upon her return to the present, a day had already passed. She had to arrive before Garrett could meet the queen. Meanwhile, the queen, needing more support to officially ascend to empress, accepted the baron's proposal of marriage. Just as the wedding was about to take place, Garrett burst in. The queen could scarcely believe that the man she once loved was still alive. He falsely claimed the place was unsafe and that they must leave immediately. Under Garrett's smooth talk, the queen surprisingly eloped with him. After leaving the outpost, Garrett finally revealed his true colors. By the time Xiaomei rushed back, the queen had already been abducted. Ched, who had a past grievance with the queen, was unwilling to help rescue her. Xiaomei had no choice but to go alone. In the blink of an eye, the baron also rushed over. The next day, their tracks were discovered in a village. Just as the captain was about to blindfold the queen, the sound of a horse's neigh echoed. It was Xiaomei who had burst in. Xiaomei slowly dismounted, preparing to confront the four alone. Suddenly drawing his sword, Garrett, seeing the unfavorable situation, prepared to flee with the queen. At that moment, the baron burst in and blocked their path. After easily dispatching a soldier, the two began to fight. Instantly, an archer drew his bow to shoot Xiaomei, who swiftly pulled a soldier to block the arrow. Under the archer's cover, Garrett fled with the queen. Xiaomei also hurried to pursue them. The queen broke free from the ropes and, with a backhand strike, knocked Garrett off his horse. Xiaomei also quickly dismounted and pursued him, engaging in a fight. Seizing the opportunity, Xiaomei mounted him and performed the standing guillotine choke she had learned that day, ultimately subduing Garrett.
Talon, are you trying to kill him?
She then apprehended him and imprisoned him in Jan's laboratory. The queen ordered Jans to cure the brainwashed Garrett. Jans found a vial of potion in his fanny pack, tasted it, and then researched it to discover that the brainwashing drug was, in fact, an addictive substance. Long-term use would lead to docility, susceptibility to suggestion, and ultimately, a ruthless disposition. Before long, Jans developed an antidote. Meanwhile, Xiaomei and her companion once again set out to find the mysterious key. The sapphire on it marked the location where her adoptive family had been murdered. As a child, she encountered a black blood tribesman wearing a blue gem around his neck. After she killed him, he was buried here. After Ched turned over the soil, a gem was indeed found beneath. He then asked Xiaomei to hand him the key, and upon receiving it, he placed the gem atop it. Instantly, a blue light emanated from the gem. At present, neither of them knew what it was. Soon after, Ched led him to the former territory of the Black Blood tribe. Legend had it that possessing the key would unlock a powerful force within the cave. Upon entering the cave, Xiaomei produced the key, which instantly reflected an immense light. Xiaomei slowly followed the blue light as it ascended the wall. Subsequently, the entire wall shimmered, revealing mysterious runes. Following the guidance of the runes, a small hole was discovered. Ched inserted the key into the hole. After a sudden tremor, a strange, circular stone disc slowly rose from the ground. The stone disc had 7 small holes. After Ched examined them all, he found them empty, indicating that their contents had already been taken. Suddenly, Xiaomei noticed another small hole at the bottom of the cavity, seemingly gnawed open by something. Ched took out a small knife to pry open the entrance of the small hole, and instantly, a firefly crawled out. Ched reached his finger down, and a purple speck of light immediately appeared, slowly crawling up his arm and then moving towards Ched's face. Indeed, this was one of the mysterious powers they had been seeking. Subsequently, Ched discovered there were a total of 7 such jinns, including the Aster Jinn on Xiaomei's face, each controlling a different power. The Aster Jinn on Xiaomei's face, however, was the only jinn capable of opening a portal. Xiaomei questioned him.
So what does yours do?
I have no idea. I don't know what triggers it either.
Xiaomei knew he was definitely hiding something. Although they were together, her trust in him was not strong. The next morning, Xiaomei awoke with a start, seemingly having heard some movement. Ched got up to investigate and discovered a group of Imperial soldiers nearby. Seizing this rare opportunity, he prepared to test his mysterious power. Observing the stout man place his hand into the fire, it was revealed that his mysterious power was the ability to control others with his mind. When he returned, a gray skin was raising a large stone, poised to strike a fatal blow against Xiaomei. Ched immediately used his mind to control it. Xiaomei was utterly terrified. Facing the snarling grayskin, he unhesitatingly killed it. Because Ched had concealed his mysterious power from her, Xiaomei immediately confronted him, leading to a fierce argument. Ched commanded Xiaomei to open the portal immediately and release all the Black Bloods. Xiaomei would certainly not agree to his demand. However, Ched chose to employ his mysterious power. The purple glowing dots on his face suddenly lit up.
Open the portal.
Mind control. So that's what your Kinship does. And you'd use it on me? You'd force me to do your bidding?
Talon, I can explain.
No more talking. Kinship doesn't work on me.
Why?
My Astra Kinship won't let it. I can feel it.
They're protecting their hosts.
Yours doesn't seem to be protecting you.
I don't want to fight you, Talon.
You just want to use me.
It was the only way. So this is it. You're just gonna kill me.
I should. You betrayed me.
After Xiaomei kicked Ched into the portal, she discovered that she herself had also been stabbed in the abdomen. As she rested beneath a large tree, the sound of horses whinnied, and suddenly a group of Imperial soldiers surrounded her. It turned out that Emperor Tertius was searching for a woman with black blood, alive or dead. Whoever captured her would receive rich rewards and promotions. The injured Xiaomei could only surrender, falling unconscious to the ground before being tied to a tree. Just as the officer was giving her water, the brainwashed captain appeared before her. The captain declared that Xiaomei was the prisoner he was pursuing.
Well done, Captain. You apprehended my prisoner.
Your prisoner.
Blade of the three.
Hyuna.
After their conversation, the officer was pleased to share the reward with the captain. Xiaomei gnashed her teeth in hatred. The next morning, the captain went to feign an interrogation of Xiaomei. The reason was to rescue her. He subtly prompted Xiaomei to play along with his act. She possessed black blood. Xiaomei's injuries had completely healed. Just as he was about to cut the last rope, the officer sensed trouble and rushed over. After the two dealt with a group of soldiers, the main force arrived, forcing them to quickly escape on horseback. It turned out that Captain Garrett, who had been brainwashed, was cured by the reprimands of 250. Having been brainwashed and personally killed his own father, he found no peace in his heart. Therefore, he resolved to go to the imperial capital and eliminate the person who had reduced him to such a state. And Xiaomei was also very willing to help. Meanwhile, in the imperial capital, several soldiers unloaded a strange device from a vehicle. They placed the device into a room. In the distance stood two individuals. One was Emperor Ai, whose body was covered in flour, and the other was Sana, who had transformed the captain into a cold-blooded killer. Emperor Ai declared that such a weapon would be used to eliminate the queen of the outpost. At the city gate, as the two were unsure how to answer the gate officials' questions, a soldier ignited the weapon with a torch, and it instantly exploded, annihilating all nearby soldiers. The shockwave, like dozens of C4 detonations, caused even the city gate hundreds of meters away to tremble. Xiaomei and the captain seized the opportunity to slip into the city. Meanwhile, the queen's handmaiden also infiltrated, as she intended to interrogate Zad to ascertain her family's whereabouts.
I've held up my end, Dread. I'm here for my family.
I killed them years ago.
You've taken so much from me. My freedom, my home, my family. What will I do?
Why would she kill Zad and let the queen's enemy escape, only to return and report to the queen? In reality, he was not foolish at all. The reason was that he had a past relationship with Jian Zhe, and was unexpectedly caught red-handed by the queen. It turned out that he and Jian Zhe of 250 were twin siblings.
Hey, whatever happened to your family? You never did tell me.
They died, just as you said.
What were their names?
My mum's name was Ushi Dimwala, and my sister Niyari.
Hold on a minute. Dimwala.
Ushi Dimwala? Was your mother Ushi Dimwala the seamstress?
Yes. Did you know her?
Yeah, of course I knew her. I sold you to her.
Mother, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that the love of your life, sitting right there, is in fact your sister!
Mother! Mother, explain yourself. You said to me that my sister was sold to the slavers.
No. It's too good. It's too good. You've been kissing your sister. Go on, kiss her again. Mother! Okay. All right. I'm sorry. You two, you were twins. And your mother died and left me to care for you both. But I couldn't, so I kept you and I sold you to the slavers. Well, I nearly did, but then Ushi took pity and bought you for herself. I hope kissing was all you did.
Meanwhile, in the imperial capital, Emperor Ili III prepared to dispatch troops to encircle and suppress the queen. Emperor Tu and Sana also joined the expedition. The captain had no choice but to set aside his personal vendetta for now and halt their army. That same night, after quickly dispatching 2 guards, the pair entered Emperor I's war camp. However, Emperor I showed no fear. Just as the captain raised his knife to strike, Emperor I instantly used a mysterious power to control him. When he attempted to control Xiaomei, blue specks of light instantly illuminated her face. Your gene holds no sway over me.
Black blood.
Xiaomei, a fierce fighter herself, immediately struck twice with her knife. Witnessing the demise of Emperor I, the controlled captain quickly regained his senses. The captain wanted to extract the gene from his body. Xiaomei stated that after his death, the gene would perish with him. But to their utter surprise, after they departed, the highly skilled Sana swiftly arrived. She used her self-invented modern adrenaline, injecting it directly into Emperor I's heart. Suddenly, Ishur was resurrected.
I'm so sorry. Holy One, we only have seconds. You must transfer. Do I have your blessing?
After gaining consent and placing Ishur's hand on her own face, the gold within her slowly crawled up her arm, then transferred to Sana's face. She effortlessly acquired ancient power. The next day, Xiaomei and the captain scouted from a distance, observing whether the leaderless army would retreat. Unexpectedly, a woman slowly emerged from the military camp. Indeed, it was Sana, who had just received Ishur's gold. At this moment, she, too, was covered in flour and took Ishur's place. To establish dominance, she employed her ancient power, eliminating several disobedient soldiers. Xiaomei and the captain quickly returned to the outpost to discuss countermeasures with the queen. The enemy's 5,000 soldiers were now only a day's journey from the outpost. The outpost, however, had only 1,000 soldiers. At this point, the Baron suggested, we should abandon the outpost and seek refuge in my fortress, where we can regroup and strategize for the long term. The queen declared that the outpost could not be abandoned, as it contained the only mine for the ore needed to produce weapons. If she were to abandon this place, she would no longer be a queen. She vowed to stand and fall with her soldiers. Xiaomei offered another solution, to summon monsters and the Black Blood tribe. The queen immediately rejected the idea. Having been kidnapped once by monsters and the Black Bloodfist tribe, she remained deeply fearful. Finally, inspired by the Baron, the queen decided to employ the empty fort strategy from the 36 stratagems. Consequently, all the common people were evacuated outside the city. Soon after, the imperial army advanced. To avoid damaging the outpost's ore, Sana decided against using massive bombs. Instead, she dispatched a legion to encircle and eliminate the enemy. First, a cavalry vanguard was sent to scout the path, followed by the legion's infantry, who slowly advanced into the outpost.
The false queen. I can only assume this is your surrender.
I'm going to give you one last chance.
Chance for what?
To drop your weapons and join me.
Kill her. And bring me her body.
Just as the encircling soldiers drew their blades, the city gate suddenly dropped, and battle was imminent.
It's an ambush!
This was Xiaomei's final blow, eliminating the commander and the bearded Monty. This battle, where the few fought the many, ultimately ended in victory. That evening, Jianzi unfurled a map and discussed it with everyone. He recalled his mother telling him before her death that there was a secret passage leading to the enemy camp. However, it had no exit. Therefore, Jianzi prepared a BZ device in advance, intending to blast open an exit when the time came. Due to the captain's personal matters, he took this task from Xiaomei. In less than a day, Sana dispatched 2 more Imperial armies. However, the remaining soldiers were either maimed or dead. At this point, the main force was already approaching the outpost. Unexpectedly, rebellious soldiers appeared inside the outpost. After eliminating the gate guards, they opened the main gate. With the outpost fallen, only a handful of soldiers remained capable of fighting. The queen had no choice but to order a retreat to the castle for a last stand. Xiaomei remained behind alone. She drew her sword and unleashed her final trump card. As a portal opened, an ancient monster crawled out from the ring of light. Zed, who had betrayed her, also emerged. Xiaomei, needing his help to defeat the Supreme Legion, had reluctantly summoned him back.
Hell of a time to call me back.
Use your kinch. Make them stop.
It doesn't work that way. I can only use it on one at a time, and from close range.
Well then start calling names. We need help. Zed!
Bravo es better, combine!
Meanwhile, the captain and his companion located the vicinity of Sana's barracks. After Jianzi placed the explosive charge, he lit the fuse. Instantly, an exit was blasted open in the Imperial main camp. The captain climbed up and infiltrated Sana's tent. He intended to ambush her from behind, but Sana discovered him. The captain asked, "Why do you not use your mysterious power against me?" Sana responded,
"How can I punish the one that I love? Besides, it's already gone. I sent it back to the Council of the Three where it belongs."
It was evident that Sana also harbored genuine feelings for the captain. Just as Sana sought to rekindle their past, he plunged a dagger directly into her body.
You made me kill my own father.
After eliminating Sana, the captain ignited the Tsar Bomba, then quickly jumped into an underground passage. The explosion, reminiscent of the Hiroshima atomic bomb but 3,800 times more powerful, instantly reduced the entire battlefield to ash, utterly annihilating the Supreme Legion. Meanwhile, as the queen and her people emerged to welcome the Black Blood tribe, the merciless Black Bloods, accompanied by ancient pets, surrounded them all. Only after removing their masks did it become clear that Zed had summoned the savage Twin Fist tribe. Centuries ago, all the structures here were built by the Black Blood tribe, and now they intended to reclaim their rightful territory.
I'm saying you're all our prisoners. And from this point forwards, this is our outpost.
Unexpectedly, the Black Bloods immediately turned against them. Everyone else was enslaved and forced to mine day and night, while the queen was placed under house arrest. Seeing her former friends tortured, Xiaomei felt a deep discomfort but was powerless to intervene. Although Zed had become the successor of the outpost, the savage Twin Fist tribe remained discontent. On this night, a member of the Twin Fist tribe secretly intruded into the queen's bedchambers. He resented the queen's ancestors for sealing them in the hellish grey dimension. Soon, Zed arrived and stopped him.
Your orders were that she not be harmed.
Thus, the queen narrowly escaped harm. The next day, Xiaomei came to visit the shaken queen. She then confided in the queen. It turned out that Xiaomei had not betrayed them. Instead, she was forced to cooperate with her own people to save the lives of the outposters. Because only Xiaomei possessed the ability to open the portal. Ba'an, the already defiant leader of the Shuangchuan tribe, confronted Zed, demanding he immediately relinquish command. The reason was Zed's prolonged failure to make Xiaomei open the portal and summon Yalava, the female prophet of the Black Blood tribe.
You don't want to do this, Yoban.
That thing can only control one of us. Pick one. We rest of us will kill you.
Didn't know you still cared.
Xiaomei quickly arrived and turned the situation around. A soldier who remained standing aimed his crossbow at Zed. However, Zed used the gold on his face to control the soldier, slowly turning the crossbow towards Baan. He deliberately aimed off target, as Zed wished to avoid internal conflict. Those imprisoned in the cell secretly dug a hole. The Baron and the captain crawled out through the hole. After quickly eliminating 2 guards, they swiftly entered the Queen's chambers, intending to secretly rescue her. The 3 seized the opportunity and quickly passed through the gate. Just as they were one step away from success, they were apprehended by the monstrous gatekeeper. Baan brought the 3 individuals forward. He demanded that Zed immediately sentence the 3 rebels to death. Given the irrefutable evidence in his existing conflict with Baan, Zed could not protect them. At this very moment, the captain alone took full responsibility for the crime. Zed also seized the opportunity to order the execution of only the 2 men, sparing the Queen. For he knew that if the Queen were to die, humanity would undoubtedly resist to their last breath. Just as the execution was about to commence,
I'll bring Yuvala through. I'll bring Yuvala to this road if you spare them.
Do it now.
Xiaomei stepped forward, assumed a stance, and as a blue light rapidly illuminated her face, a portal instantly appeared before them. Zed rose and called out the name of the prophet Yalava. First, an ancient monster emerged from the portal, followed immediately by a woman. Indeed, she was Yalava, the female prophet of the Black Blood tribe, possessing absolute authority. Upon her emergence, she immediately pledged to coexist peacefully with humans and released all captives. However, they could not yet leave the outpost, fearing that humans might summon reinforcements. Her purpose in coming here was to locate another legendary mystical power and to lead the Black Blood tribe in rebuilding their home. This mysterious power was believed to be somewhere within the outpost. The 2-fisted tribesman, who intended to assassinate the Queen before nightfall, was slain by the captain's sword. Before his death, he used a ring to summon a monster. The monster and the 2-fisted tribesman swiftly gave chase. After an intense struggle, he was ultimately seized by the neck by the monster and lifted, almost losing consciousness. Subsequently, the captain was suspended by his neck with a thick rope. Just as the torture was about to begin, Zed arrived and rescued him.
Zed, you'd go to war with your own kind to protect one worthless human.
We might be the same species, Yoban, but we are not the same kind. The priestess will judge him after a trial.
To demonstrate the impartiality of the law, Yuvala proceeded with the as-yet unexecuted drowning penalty, in accordance with Black Blood tradition. Xiaomei resisted on the spot but was subdued by a single blow from the monster. She then sought out the genius Jianzi to discuss a countermeasure. At the execution ground, the captain was bound to a wooden plank, with Yuvala's pet monster standing beside him. As Zed pronounced the captain's death sentence, to be carried out immediately, Jianzi and Xiaomei arrived. Jianzi subtly urged Xiaomei and the captain to share a final farewell. With everyone's consent, Xiaomei ascended the execution platform, then kissed him deeply, said goodbye, and descended. Immediately afterwards, the captain was lowered into the water. A moment later, he was raised, already deceased. The Queen, unable to bear her sorrow, departed early. Jianzi and Monk quickly ascended the platform and carried away the body. Subsequently, Xiaomei and Jianzi hastened to a basement. Bearded Monk administered the antidote to him. Shortly thereafter, the captain expelled a gush of water from his mouth. It turned out that when Xiaomei kissed him, she had administered a sleep-death potion to the captain. This particular medicine could reduce a person's heart rate to nearly 0. An antidote needed to be administered promptly for awakening. Since everyone believed the captain was dead, he could only remain hidden here to recover from his injuries. Days later, the genius Jianzi and Yavala's daughter, Rain, successfully opened a mysterious box brought from the portal. Inside was a blueprint concealing a mysterious power. However, 7 centuries had passed, making it no easy task to pinpoint the exact location. After a period of searching, the location was finally determined. The two broke into Xiaomei's room. This place was previously Whitebeard's blacksmith shop. The two brushed aside the sand above the fireplace, revealing a switch. After Ren casually twisted the switch, something unexpected occurred. Subsequently, a mysterious underground cavern appeared. This was the Black Blood clan's castle from centuries ago. And the ancient power Yawala sought was hidden beneath.
Incredible. Where does it lead?
Maybe the ancient Black Blood city.
It looks bottomless. Don't!
Not bottomless.
Subsequently, Xiaomei, Jianzi, and 2 others descended. In the center was a mysterious stone box, and the stone doors on the 4 walls were adorned with different patterns. Furthermore, a key was placed beneath each stone door. Different symbols were carved onto the keys. Just as Ren was about to insert a key into a stone door, Jianzi quickly stopped her. Jianzi explained that in Indian, a full hourglass signifies a beginning, while an empty one means an end. Indians were experts at riddles and skilled in various clever traps and assassination devices. Therefore, they must proceed with caution, or they would all perish here. At this moment, Yawala pushed open the stone box lid, revealing a pattern inside. It closed automatically. Fierce flames ignited inside the stone box, instantly transforming it into a large oven. Ren inserted a key into the keyhole. The door seemed to get stuck, opening only a small gap. Xiaomei also quickly inserted her key into the corresponding door, which likewise opened only a small gap. The key in Jianzi's hand bore a symbol, and he instantly remembered seeing the same pattern inside the stone box. Without hesitation, he inserted the key into the door engulfed in flames, and the door opened. Jianzi's hand was severely burned. Next, they entered a room covered in Indian script. Unexpectedly, the stone door in the room suddenly dropped, and several skeletons already lay on the ground. Immediately, Yawala became dizzy due to lack of oxygen. Jianzi told everyone to extinguish their torches and to minimize movement. Just as everyone was on the verge of collapse, the writing on the wall began to glow, and a handprint also appeared next to the illuminated text. It read, "Seen from different perspectives, life and death are a single line." The two simultaneously pressed their palms onto the glowing surface, and the door opened. They then arrived in another room filled with mechanisms, where several skeletons also lay on the ground. Just as she took her first step, Yawala was struck by a flying arrow. Immediately after, a barrage of hidden arrows was unleashed. Rain stated that to pass through this mechanism, one needed to be extremely intelligent and agile, and Xiaomei was undoubtedly the best candidate. Jianzi felt immense pain for Xiaomei. Having no other choice, she quickly analyzed the positions from which the hidden arrows and spinning blades were fired, noting the skeletons left in the middle after being struck by the large blades. Xiaomei prepared to enter from this point. Below lay the lost city of Black Blood. Xiaomei passed the final trial. All mechanisms were disabled, and the door automatically opened. Suddenly, a large white snake appeared behind Xiaomei, but when she turned her head, it had vanished. Yavala walked over, gently stroking the wall. Yavala, fully aware, knew that what she sought was hidden there. She then slowly extended her hand inside. Suddenly, the green snake instantly turned to ash. A golden speck of light slowly crawled towards her arm, then ascended to the woman's face. This, it turned out, was the mysterious power Yavala had desperately sought. Even her recent wounds quickly healed. Xiaomei asked her, "What divine power does the gold you obtained possess?" Yavala replied, "It can take us to heaven and hell." At the same time, Monty and the Baron escaped through a secret passage in the mine, preparing to go to Aegis Ford for reinforcements. Their escape was discovered by Zed, who dispatched his pet monster in pursuit. Upon learning of this, the Queen used a stratagem to administer a sleeping potion to Zed, threatening him to immediately recall the monster. Unexpectedly, the monster still pursued them.
Any ideas?
Why would I have an idea? I'm an idiot, remember?
Now's not the time, Munt. This thing wants to kill us.
Oh, I have an idea. Hey, boy, are you hungry?
Monty then casually threw a wild boar leg, but there was no reaction. The monster was struck by Monty's Mjolnir and tumbled down the hillside. The two then quickly fled. The monster continued its relentless pursuit. They then encountered a man chopping wood and asked to borrow his horse. However, the man claimed not to know them. By this time, the monster had rapidly closed in. The man was instantly terrified, his face filled with dread. Monty and his companion seized the opportunity, mounted the horse, and quickly escaped. After several days of ordeal, the two finally reached Aegis Ford successfully. The cunning Yavala, having acquired the mysterious power, publicly declared that she would return the outpost to the Queen. The Black Blood tribe members were about to prepare for evacuation. This signified that the Black Blood tribe and humanity would usher in a new era. However, their collective dream was just beginning. Suddenly, Yawala's head began to ache. The golden mark on her face also instantly lit up. Then, another golden entity slowly separated from it. Afterwards, it vanished without a trace. Yawala turned around. She swiftly grasped the Queen's face. The golden entity slowly crept onto the Queen's face. The Queen quickly became docile and obedient. This signified that the Queen was now under her control, having become her puppet. Yawala also immediately realized that the captain was still alive. Consequently, she dispatched members of the Double Fist tribe to the basement. Xiaomei and the captain quickly took 2 hostages. However, those they had taken hostage were not Double Fist tribe members, and they were killed on the spot by the Double Fist tribe. After eliminating several Double Fist tribe members, Xiaomei confronted the Queen. Yet, the Queen remained unaware. Suddenly, a wave of pain shot through her head. It was revealed that Yawala had been controlling her.
How dare you come in here and accuse me of revealing Garrett's whereabouts? The man that I have loved all my life.
Get out!
Get out!
At this point, Xiaomei also noticed something was amiss with her. From her side, Yawala ceased the control. The Queen looked into a mirror and discovered that the golden mark on her face had separated, forming another one by itself. Disturbed and restless, she sought out her childhood friend, Sammy, then transferred the separated golden entity to Sammy, instructing him to pass it on to others. Yawala located Xiaomei and feigned grasping her hand. At that moment, 2 golden marks instantly illuminated on her face. Sensing something was amiss, Xiaomei quickly broke free, only to be seized by soldiers from behind. Yawala gripped Xiaomei's face with both hands, and the separated golden entity slowly ascended along her arm. Upon reaching her fingers, it collided with Xiaomei's blue luminous point. In fact, if the other party possessed the same golden entity within them, the ability would be rendered ineffective. After eliminating 2 guards, Xiaomei swiftly departed. Sammy, who had been infected by the Queen earlier, quickly spread the separated gold to others. This scene was witnessed by the captain, who was in the sewers. In fact, Yawala's platinum is the mother gold, while the gold separated from its face is the ancillary gold. It can spread exponentially, from 1 person to 10, then to 100, much like a contagious influenza. Anyone infected would inevitably fall under Yawala's control. Soon after, the captain sought out Jan's. Jan's analysis proved to be even more accurate. He explained it was akin to a beehive, where all worker bees' minds are linked to the Queen. They operate with a collective consciousness. And Yawala, in this analogy, is the Queen. At that very moment, Yawala was forcibly attempting to transfer the gold to her daughter, Ren, and was nearing success when she was abruptly kicked away. Ren quickly sought out her boyfriend, Jan's. Zed, however, remained unconvinced. Ren explained that having grown up under Yawala's teachings since childhood, Yawala had become their ultimate belief. Even after hearing Ren's detailed account, it was difficult to fully comprehend or accept. Concurrently, a rumble of thunder echoed. It was revealed that the Baron, who had previously escaped with Monty, was now leading a military unit to rescue the Queen. The queen emerged to greet them. However, the Baron was unaware that she had already fallen under Yuala's control. The queen stated that she had reached an agreement with Yuala and was preparing to eliminate the third emperor of the Child Kingdom. The Baron, too, was utterly bewildered. Zed warned that if the Baron were to become infected, his entire army would pose an extreme threat. Consequently, they resolved to devise a plan to apprehend the Baron. Meanwhile, the monster previously dispatched to pursue the Baron had also caught up to their location. Zed promptly blew his ring, signaling.
Be helpful having a Lukiri on our side. Welcome back, old friend.
After the captain and Xiaomei apprehended the Baron, Zed conducted a test using the markings on his face, yet found no evidence of the Baron being infected. Therefore, they needed to find a way to capture Yuala and all infected individuals, to prevent further proliferation of the contagion. Jan stated that despite the queen being infected, she would undoubtedly be heavily guarded. If we attempt to seize the queen, Yuala will inevitably pursue. This would present an opportune moment to capture Yuala. Unexpectedly, just as the Baron was about to escort the queen away, Yuala appeared instantly. Just as they were about to make their move, the Baron blew a secret signal. Xiaomei and Zed also swiftly burst forth, engaging in immediate combat without a word. Unexpectedly, Sammy was unintentionally injured by Xiaomei, and the unprotected Yuala was seized on the spot. Subsequently, both were locked inside an iron cage. Suddenly, the queen became overwhelmed with pain. Yuala revealed that it was due to the gold on her face splitting, and if she did not transfer the gold to another soon, she would slowly die in agony. Soon, a rather unfortunate mouse scurried by, was swiftly caught by Yuala, and then handed to the queen. She transferred the splitting gold onto the mouse's body, then placed it on the ground. The mouse, its life saved, quickly fled. The queen's pain was now greatly alleviated. At this moment, the captain entered. As he approached the iron cage to examine the queen, Yuala suddenly seized the opportunity to control her. The queen swiftly grabbed the captain's neck, then pushed him towards Yuala. After Yuala secured the captain's neck, preparing to transfer the gold to him, the captain swiftly retaliated with a backhand sword thrust. Black blood instantly gushed from the wound, and she ultimately collapsed, deceased. He believed the queen would be freed from the demoness control after her death, but the queen appeared even more sorrowful, then began to laugh eerily. Curiously, Yuala was fully resurrected. The captain could scarcely believe that this ancient demoness was truly immortal. After the captain hastily departed, Yuala then took control of the mouse that had just been released. As fate would have it, the Baron was walking directly ahead. The mouse mercilessly leaped up and bit him. After the Baron pulled up his trouser leg, the gold had already rapidly transferred to his body, then slowly climbed onto his face. The Baron was finally controlled by Yuala, then entered the dungeon and quickly dealt with a guard. After the guard opened all cell doors, they too rapidly succumbed to infection. The following day, it was discovered that they had all vanished without a trace, and the army had also been led away by the Baron. With the disappearance of its two principal leaders, the outpost descended into utter chaos. At this moment, Xiaomei and the captain appeared on the city wall. Upon seeing the captain, who was still alive, the entire tribe collectively drew their blades, but Zed intervened and persuaded them to desist. Zed declared that the paradise Yuala spoke of was her controlling all individuals with the gold on her face, thereby making them all subservient to her.
Why should we believe you?
Believe me!
Only after confirmation from his daughter, Dong-en, did everyone believe Zed's words. A realm cannot endure a single day without its sovereign. Subsequently, upon everyone's recommendation, Xiaomei temporarily became the new leader of the outpost. The lucky mouse slowly approached Dong-en's bed and was swiftly captured by Jianzi with a cup. Yuala, at the head of a formidable host, advanced majestically towards the capital of the allied kingdom. Everywhere they went, the infection spread, subsequently leading to a massive influx of refugees. The outpost became their sole sanctuary. Many infected individuals were hidden among the refugees, making them incredibly difficult to distinguish. Xiaomei then tasked Jianzhe with finding a solution. Thus, Rin and Jianzhe researched tirelessly, day and night. Eventually, they discovered that rats could serve as detectors. Because once rats detected new pathogens, they would excitedly rush towards uninfected individuals. Conversely, if a rat recoiled, that person was certainly infected. This method proved highly effective.
What's your name? Palazza. Get up. Get up now. You're going to love being united.
Once the host died, the pathogen would also perish. As everyone faced mounting peril, reports of monsters devouring people emerged from outside the city walls. It turned out that after the death of Ba'an, leader of the Double Fist tribe, his tamed monsters were so ferociously wild that no one dared to adopt them, leaving them masterless. Following Xiaomei's decision, the monster was to be subdued and claimed as her own. Following the footprints, the two arrived at a forest, where the monster instantly appeared before them.
That's her. You're kidding.
Xiaomei and her companion located its hiding place. Previously tamed to be incredibly ferocious by its owner, no one dared to adopt it after its master's departure. Therefore, the Black Blood tribe sold the ring used to summon it to a masked figure. The masked figure then used it to harm the innocent. Xiaomei resolved to tame it and claim it as her own. However, the ferocious monster did not deliver a fatal blow to her. Xiaomei stated that this gave her even greater confidence in taming it. Thus, she intended to offer it something its previous master never had, kindness. That night, Xiaomei, carrying a sack, returned alone to the monster's lair. Animal remains were scattered on the ground. The monster appeared in an instant.
Wamba! Sisunama!
It slowly approached, then swatted her several meters away with a single blow. Xiaomei then retrieved a large wild boar leg from her sack. She casually tossed it to the ground. The monster picked up the boar leg and turned to leave. Meanwhile, the man in black led the girl outside the city gates, preparing to offer her to the monster once more. After completing the ritual, the masked figure blew into the ring he held. Just as they were about to act, the monster leaped down from the city wall. It slowly approached the girl. The girl, too, was frozen with terror. However, the monster did not kill her. Instead, it severed the iron chains binding her hands. It then advanced towards the man in black and, with a single strike, sent him flying dozens of meters away. Immediately after, Xiaomei arrived with a group of soldiers and apprehended all of them. Xiaomei removed the ring that summoned the monster. Watching the monster depart, she joyfully informed the captain that it now belonged to her. A group of soldiers infected by Yuala returned to the capital, rapidly spreading the gene to all other soldiers. Then, Yuala, the queen, and a third individual slowly approached with an army. Second and third, observing from a distance, commanded that the city gates remain closed and ordered a full siege. What they did not realize, however, was that all the soldiers and guards within the city had already been taken over by Yuala's gene. The surrounding guards encircled them. Due to the power of gene, Second instantly vanished and fled. Third also possessed gene, but its effect was different. He was captured and thrown into prison. The city gates were successfully opened. Within a short time, the entire capital was brought under Yuala's control without a single drop of blood being shed. She was like a queen bee, and everyone around her became her worker bees. Meanwhile, at the outpost, Jianzhe's research on infected rats revealed that whenever the gene from a host split and multiplied, it would shorten the host's lifespan and accelerate aging. The queen was the first to be infected, and if she was not found in time, she would soon perish. Xiaomei and her two companions immediately hastened to the capital. The queen, now one of the worker bees, finally ascended to the throne she had long coveted. En route, they encountered a group of uninfected soldiers who had killed infected farmers and subsequently declared that the Supreme Legion no longer existed. The entire capital was in disarray, with infected individuals everywhere. The next morning, the captain was carrying a canteen to fetch water when suddenly a peculiar girl blocked his way. Just as the captain ordered her to stand still, a man charged and tackled him. He then aggressively attempted to transmit the gene to the captain, who was forced to draw his knife and neutralize the man. Still reeling from the shock, the man got up and then collided with the girl again.
Is that your father? Where is your father? Go on, go to your father!
Subsequently, Xiaomei dropped the eternal pot shell and frantically ran towards her companions. As they prepared to continue their journey, a girl not far away was observing them intently. It turned out that Yavala was controlling the girl, using her to monitor their every move. Soon, the trio hid behind a carriage and covertly slipped into the city. The captain had previously spent time in the capital and knew of a secret passage leading to the council chamber. Within the passage, they encountered 3 unfortunate children who had not yet been infected. From them, they learned that the queen and the baron were in the council chamber, Yavala was at the new temple, while the second had vanished, and the third was imprisoned in the dungeon. Xiaomei offered them some money, instructing them to seek refuge at the outpost. The 3 proceeded through the passage to the temple, intending to use the bomb invented by Zed to eliminate Yavala. After swiftly dispatching several guards, they burst into the temple. They had anticipated capturing Yavala, but to their surprise, it was merely an impostor. In truth, Yavala, concealed in the shadows, had clearly witnessed their actions from the very beginning. The 3 were thus compelled to make a swift escape through the passage. At the passage exit, they encountered several soldiers. After eliminating the guards, they quickly donned their uniforms. Subsequently, they infiltrated the queen's council chamber. The queen now appeared to be in her 70s or 80s, her frail body swaying as if on the brink of death. Zed proposed a strategy to lure the tiger out of its den. He would proceed to blow up Yavala's temple, and amidst the ensuing chaos, rescue the queen and the baron. At this moment, another golden mark detached from her face. Just then, a girl was led in, who knelt beside the queen, preparing to receive the queen's blessing. The queen grasped her hand, and swiftly transferred the golden mark to her. This signified that Yavala had acquired yet another minion. Concurrently, Zed successfully destroyed the temple. The scene around the queen instantly erupted into pandemonium. Xiaomei and the captain capitalized on the confusion, directing everyone to combat the fire. Subsequently, they rendered the 2 unconscious, placed them into sacks, and then transported them to the dungeon. There, they also located the 3rd prince in the dungeon. For the golden mark on the 3rd prince's face possessed the power to revive those who had just perished. The captain himself had once been brought back to life by her. She declared her ability to save lives, but on the condition that she be safely escorted to the outpost. The 3rd prince stated that for resurrection to occur, a life must be sacrificed for a life. 3rd prince first absorbed the life of a condemned prisoner, then used his divine power on the newly deceased queen. The queen, resurrected from the dead, finally broke free from Yawala's control. Meanwhile, the knocked-out baron also woke up. Without a word, he charged towards the captain. He was quickly brought down to the ground. After instantly dispatching him with a knife, the golden mark on his face also peeled off and vanished. Next, 3rd prince absorbed the life of another prisoner. Xiaomei initially didn't want to harm any more innocent people, but to save the baron, she had no choice but to compromise. 3rd prince slowly walked over, and the green light spot on his forehead instantly lit up. The baron's wounds healed rapidly at a visible pace. The baron, resurrected from the dead, eventually also broke free from the demoness control. Subsequently, under the cover of the queen and the baron, the group successfully left the city. As for the outpost, shortly after Xiaomei and her 2 companions left, the imperial soldiers in red armor they encountered on the road were heading to the outpost for refuge. The outpost was originally a sworn enemy of the High Legion. The benevolent Zed stated that if they wished to enter, they must renounce the High Legion and 3rd prince, pledge allegiance to the queen, and support her as the legitimate ruler.
Well, I don't know much about this queen you speak of, but I will gladly renounce the Prime Order. And the 3 uninfected left in the realm.
Jianzi saw that there were only a few of them, and if they caused trouble, a single monster could easily deal with them. The kind Jianzi still ordered the city gates to be opened. However, they never expected that this would bring an unprecedented catastrophe to the outpost. Upon entering the city, these people immediately went to the outpost's tavern and deliberately harassed the waitstaff. Jianzi warned them that the outpost already had many refugees, and the remaining food was insufficient for their feasting. If they continued to cause trouble, they would be expelled. Upon hearing about the food shortage, the soldier captain, fearing starvation, proposed that they take over the granary and proceed to the warehouse immediately.
Step aside. We're running the storehouse now.
You're running nothing!
与此同时，雷恩带着黑血族人也赶了过来。队长看到一群黑血族人并没有害怕，于是拔出一把剑。雷恩迅速吹响召唤怪物的戒指，又吹响小美临走前留下的戒指。
I heard rumors. Truly, they defy description.
A monster struck a soldier, sending him flying to his death against the wall. The captain, however, was unfazed, and Zed was also filled with doubt. Then, a red light spot rapidly lit up on the captain's forehead. Because the first emperor had died in the war earlier, and he, very fortunately, was possessed by red gold. The outpost also completely fell, and all the black blood people were captured. To make an example, the captain immediately executed a black blood person on the spot. Someone tried to resist but was suppressed by his gold. Rain secretly gave the monster summoning ring to Tongza. To solve the food problem for everyone, Jianzi went to the outskirts of the city alone and blew the 3 rings in his hand. Not long after, 3 monsters appeared beside Jianzi. However, he couldn't speak the language of the Black Blood tribe, so he could only helplessly recite it after a simple translation.
Jeru Tonesh, Muktinas, Skarsala, Mu Ginger, Think, Janzo, think! What would Janzo do now? What would Talent do? Ijalu! Makimbo ya, Gobek Samba, Shumemse, Kapawatwe.
The next morning, Jianzi and Monk, with an idea in mind, arrived at the city's outskirts. Several dead wild oxen were already lying on the ground. Just as they found this incredible, 2 more wild wolves fell from the sky. It turned out to be a monster returning from a hunt. The outpost, controlled by the captain, was turned into a prison. Many members of the Black Blood tribe were forced to fight each other on the platform. The next day, a woman arrived at the outpost with several guards. Her name was Lisa. She claimed to be the Baron's lover. Not long ago, the Baron fled to Aegisford for reinforcements. To rescue the Queen sooner, he reluctantly married Lisa. Her purpose in coming this time was to find her husband, the Baron. But she didn't expect that the outpost had already been taken over by the captain, who then declared he would eat her horse. On the platform, the captain shamelessly challenged her to a contest and handed her a small knife. As a weak woman, she was certainly no match for him. Lisa tried to stop him. But the unscrupulous captain still stepped on Ren's hand. While he was distracted, Ren scrambled up and quickly swung a knife, slashing his face. Ren turned to flee but was caught by him and brutally thrown to the ground. He then lifted Ren, and just as he was about to deliver a fatal blow, Xiaomei arrived just in time.
Talent!
Remember you from the road? We didn't have a chance to exchange names.
Just call me pointy-eared scum. Hunting down and killing innocent peasants wasn't enough for you and your primordial hounds.
I like a challenge.
No, you've got one.
Get her out of here.
Ren.
must be the new one. Your kinch doesn't work on me.
Xiaomei, a formidable individual herself, rushed forward and delivered another strike. As the host perished, the gold on his body instantly detached and fell to the ground, then vanished. Suddenly, something strange happened. The red light, which had just disappeared, slowly crept up from her toes onto her body, then crawled onto Lisa's face. The outpost was also reclaimed by Xiaomei. The Third Empire, once a lifetime of madness, now knelt before its own soldiers. The protagonist wanted to tell them that the Empire no longer existed. The god they once worshipped was now merely a weak woman. The Queen, however, was the legitimate ruler of this nation. Subsequently, 13th was taken down and imprisoned in the dungeon. The remaining soldiers, to save their lives, all swore allegiance to the Queen. Xiaomei came to the dungeon to find 13th. As the former supreme ruler of the Empire, he surely knew more secrets about the golds. So far, 6 of the 7 golds have appeared. The blue gold of Xiaomei, the green gold of 13th, the red gold of Lisa, the purple gold of Zed, the white gold of Yavala, and the gold of 2nd, their true nature remains unclear. In fact, all the golds were derived from Yavala's white gold. Under Xiaomei's severe interrogation, 13th revealed the 7th gold.
A black kinch.
A black kinch? And what does it do?
It has only one purpose: to kill anyone it comes in contact with.
Would it kill Yavala?
It would kill whomever its bearer touches.
And it's in the plane of ashes.
I do not know. I swear to you, we have searched for the Black Kinch for centuries without any success. Even while seeking it, we lived in fear of finding it. Black blood. The Death Kinch may be a way to destroy your enemy, but more likely it will destroy you and anyone close to you.
That night, soldiers pardoned by the Queen feigned bringing in a drunken comrade, then seized the opportunity to kill 2 guards, opened the cell doors, and freed the god they worshipped. 13th, wielding divine power, swiftly absorbed the life force from a prisoner. He then used the power of gold to revive the soldier who had just died in the struggle. Subsequently, the group eliminated all the remaining guards with bows and arrows. Finally, they escorted the disgraced 13th as he fled the outpost. Currently, the entire kingdom, with the exception of the outpost, is controlled by Yavala's gold. Critically, Yavala now commanded all her little bees to attack the outpost. Yavala, possessing the white gold, was immortal and indestructible. Xiaomei and her companions had vanquished Yavala twice, even decapitating her, yet she always resurrected. The only way to destroy her was to find the black gold. With the outpost in peril, Xiaomei had no choice but to venture into the gray-blasted dimension to find the black gold. Zed and Rain, who emerged from the gray dimension, would accompany her. After bidding farewell to the captain, a blue light emanated from Xiaomei's face, and a portal swiftly materialized beside her. Zed stepped in first, followed by Rain. Xiaomei glanced back once more, then slowly walked into it. The gray dimension, however, was a barren world, perpetually shrouded in volcanic ash. 300 years ago, the Black Blood clan had been sealed here by humans. It was not until Xiaomei inherited her mother's Astra Gold that the portal was opened. Suddenly, a man leapt down, tackling Zed, and Xiaomei quickly held a knife to his throat. Zed recognized him. It was his own brother, Curvin. Many years ago, while helping Yavala retrieve a box containing a hidden white gold map, he was unfortunately bitten by a venomous snake. With no other option, Rian saved him using the blood of fireflies, which caused him to become deranged due to its side effects. Grateful to be alive, Zade remained thankful to her. At Rian's request, Kevin led them to the cave where the tea box was found years ago. Rian explained. Back then, Urala had brought 8 of her finest warriors, but only Kevin and 2 others returned. Meanwhile, the outpost was completely overwhelmed, with almost everyone infected by the gold. The Queen herself joined the battle, blocking the last remaining passage.
We hold them back! Seal it up!
time the Baron regained his senses, Lisa was nowhere to be seen. Unexpectedly, Lisa was being chased into a room by the infected. The bald man's fragmented gold instantly flared, and as he grabbed her hand, Lisa's red gold also ignited. Discovering she was immune to the infection, the bald man immediately ordered her death. In desperation, Lisa unleashed the power of the red gold, but she couldn't control it freely and inflicted no significant harm on her attackers. She then ran into the room and shut the door. The bald man used a large axe to hack a small opening, then reached in to unlock the door. Hiding under the table, Lisa trembled with fear. The bald man stopped in front of her, and his large axe slowly began to descend. Just as the bald man was about to seize her, the arriving Baron swiftly slit his throat. The group soon reached the depths of the cave. Several decaying bodies lay on the ground, likely those of the warriors Urala had brought years ago.
Talon. I think that's your father.
Xiaomei slowly approached, and upon seeing his face, she was instantly reminded of her father from childhood.
That's him. Gosh, he's barely even decayed. Why would Uvala do this to him?
Let's just remove the spears. At least we can give him a proper burial.
She carelessly dropped her torch and was about to retrieve the spear when the old man suddenly awakened.
Don't touch me!
I told you! It's dead!
It turned out that years ago, Xiaomei's father had acquired a mysterious box containing 2 golds, each with a different function. His, by chance, was the gold of death. As he couldn't touch anyone, he had been hiding here for years. Later, Urala brought 8 warriors into the cave.
Fools, don't let him touch you!
After stealing the mysterious box, they had impaled him against the rock wall for 13 long years. Meanwhile, at the outpost, Urala controlled all the infected, and after breaching the defenses, just as the queen was about to be terrified to death, a red light gleamed on Lisa's forehead. With a single outstretched hand, she controlled the woman who was about to attack the queen. The woman then collapsed and died. She then proceeded to control 2 more soldiers. He could finally control the power of the red scarf. As he roared, all the infected fell. Meanwhile, Uvala controlled a soldier and fired a fatal arrow at her. Just as he was about to fall, the captain caught him and held him. The queen pleaded with Jianzi to find a way to stall for time until Jean could heal him. Jianzi, meanwhile, needed to go to the laboratory to get some medicine. Just then, Jianzi returned and separated the captain and the queen. As the 2 wondered why Uvala wasn't attacking, Jianzi let out an eerie laugh. He then picked up a nearby stone and smashed it forcefully onto Lisa's head. It turned out that Jianzi had been infected by his brother, Mont, when he went to the laboratory for medicine. Upon realizing this, the captain painfully knocked him unconscious. Having achieved her objective, Uvala immediately ordered an attack. A group of puppets swiftly charged in. Meanwhile, in the ash smoke dimension, the man had fully recovered. One, due to his abnormal mind, was unwilling to leave. Soon, a blue light glowed on Xiaomei's face, and a portal instantly appeared before them. One by one, they then stepped inside. Subsequently, a group of people emerged from the glowing circle, arriving at the outpost. The battle situation here was dire. Xiaomei and the other person quickly joined the fight. The man walked up to the queen, and with a mere touch of his hand, both instantly fell to their deaths. The queen looked utterly bewildered. At the same time, the captain's hand was grabbed by a woman, who swiftly transferred the gold to his face, instantly turning him into Uvala's puppet. Seeing the man with the death gold, Uvala summoned a monster from her ring. The 3 immediately ran into the room and then locked the door with a spear. Meanwhile, the monster kicked open the door. It then slowly approached the 3, wielding a trident spear. The man stepped forward, intending to touch it with the black gold, but was unexpectedly sent flying by the monster's palm, crashing into the wall. It swiftly threw the spear, pinning the man firmly to the wall. Yavala then walked in as well. The man had been impaled for 13 years, and now, impaled once more by Yavala, he was truly a pitiable figure. No sooner had the words been spoken than Rain held a knife to her own throat, threatening Yavala. Yavala commanded the monster to eliminate a few individuals before departing. Xiaomei fended off the monster's attacks, urging the queen to pull out the spear. Yet, no matter how much force was applied, it could not be dislodged. Just as Xiaomei's life hung in the balance, her tamed monster appeared in an instant. The two monsters battled from inside the house to the outside. Subsequently, despite exerting all their strength, neither could remove the spear from her father's body. However, Yavala had to be stopped immediately. Xiaomei asked her father to transfer the black gold to her. Her father stated that one person could only possess one. Furthermore, if the black gold and white gold clashed, both individuals would perish. At this very moment, the queen took Xiaomei's father's hand, reluctantly transferring the black gold to herself. Deprived of the black gold's power, her father died instantly. The queen's choice of the black gold signified her intention to perish alongside Yavala. She entrusted Xiaomei with the crucial task of saving the world. Even the fiercest mothers feared losing their children. As Yavala pleaded desperately, Jan seized her hand and swiftly transferred the gold to her. Yavala also transformed her own daughter into a puppet. Zed, the only one not infected, was surrounded by the captain and his group. Just as Yavala was about to eliminate Zed, Xiaomei and her companion emerged, striding with fierce determination.
You're alive? Where is Ketma? What about Sivik?
He's dead.
He cannot die, he's... Stop them! Stop them!
You lose, Yavala! Die, you witch!
Ultimately, both dissolved into ashes simultaneously, and with their demise, the white gold and black gold slowly ascended into the sky. The gold within all infected individuals instantly dropped and vanished, and everyone rapidly returned to normal. Curiously, Liza, who had been crushed to death by Jans, was also revived by the power of the red gold. Xiaomei picked up the queen's armor, her heart filled with profound sorrow. Simultaneously, everyone knelt before her, signifying her selection as the new leader. Of the two golds that flew away, one soared into an ancient underground tomb, awakening an elder god, the other plunged into the seabed, awakening its own deity. The god, sealed for a millennium, finally awakened, though its weakened form still prevented free movement. Not far away, on the coast, another ancient god gradually stirred to life.
I see you, Terra.
I hear you, Water. Are we the only ones returned?
For now. But do not fear, my friend. We will find the others, and we will all rise again.
The power that awakened them was none other than the great battle between the queen and Yavala, the high priestess of the Black Blood clan. After perishing together, the two instantly turned to ash. The light emanating from their bodies slowly drifted towards their respective gods. The queen sacrificed herself for the greater good. The outpost also held a most somber mourning. Before her death, she entrusted the mission of saving the world to Xiaomei. Just as the captain was about to crown her, Xiaomei recoiled and left. The Baron, who perished in the Great War, remained unburied due to Lisa's reluctance to let him go. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman burst in. It was none other than Empress 3, who had escaped in Season 3.
Who are you?
I'm the one who resurrected your husband from death.
You can bring him back to life like you did before.
I can.
Suddenly, Empress 2 also appeared, leaving Lisa utterly stunned by the unexpected duo. Empress 3 stated, "I can revive your Baron, but it will cost 20 lives. As he has been deceased for some time, more lives are required for the sacrifice." At this moment, Lisa did not agree. The objective of the two was to have Lisa, who possessed the red gold, become a member of the Trinity. The next day, as Xiaomei had refused the throne, the outpost was currently without a monarch. Lisa then presented her identity, declaring she possessed royal blood and was the sole legitimate heir. Jianzhe stated that this would require consultation of records before it could be confirmed. Upon investigation by Jianzhe and Lei Yan, it was discovered that Lisa's father's uncle's cousin was her grandfather's cousin, and her grandfather's cousin's cousin was the former king. Simultaneously, a commotion arose outside, revealing two opposing factions engaged in a brawl over jurisdiction. Xiaomei and her two companions swiftly moved forward to intervene. As a soldier raised his blade to strike Zed, Lisa harnessed the power of gold to control him. Subsequently, all soldiers collapsed in agony, struggling until the captain ordered her to stop.
Kulta, I see you. Come and take your place with us.
The ancient god Vorta summoned her. Everyone felt that Lisa's brutal nature and lack of compassion made her unsuitable to be queen. Without the support of the people, Lisa grew increasingly restless. She gathered 20 soldiers under her command and, after uttering some inciting words, Empress 2 and Empress 3 entered and closed the grand doors. Then, Empress 3 slowly raised her hand of death, and in an instant, 20 lives were absorbed into its palm. The energy on her forehead also grew more powerful.
I see you, Yanya. It is your time now. You know what you must do.
Empress 3 received a summons from the ancient god, and Lisa urged her to immediately resurrect the Baron. However, Empress 3 had one condition: to merge with them and reunite as the Trinity. The Trinity she spoke of refers to 3 individuals possessing mysterious gold, who jointly rule a kingdom. Liza, left with no choice, agreed to their terms. After getting drunk, Xiaomei returned home alone. An assassin appeared behind her. As she approached her doorstep, an assassin stopped her with a blade from behind. The assassin slowly dismounted, revealing herself to be a young girl. Without a word, the fight immediately began. The intoxicated Xiaomei was no match for her opponent. Even summoning monsters with her ring proved unsuccessful. Soon, Xiaomei was knocked to the ground. As the young girl swiftly removed the blade from the door, Xiaomei instantly opened a portal. This startled her.
突然
I see you, betrayer. Finally, you will pay for your betrayal.
The young girl was frightened away by the display. Xiaomei, too, wore a bewildered expression. The next day, a series of peculiar events began to unfold. Xiaomei and Zed's monsters were now out of control, following other creatures to an unknown destination. After a conversation with N, Xiaomei resolved to honor the late queen's dying wish and inherit her throne. Soon, several individuals emerged into the crowd. The captain walked onto the stage, holding the crown. Just as Xiaomei was about to be proclaimed queen, Liza, dressed in noble attire, stepped forward. Immediately after, the Baron, who had been dead for many days, emerged shakily clad in armor. Everyone present was astounded. Some even fell to their knees. He walked up to the captain and, without a word, took the crown from his hand. Subsequently, the third and second, completely covered in flour, also appeared. Several royal guards quickly stepped forward to stand guard. After swearing Liza in as the queen of the outpost, the crown was placed upon her head. She then declared that a god had resurrected the Baron. He will be your king from now on. No sooner had she finished speaking than the captain issued a warning to Liza. The second and third monarchs of Tongwa were utterly evil. They will control you in the future. Liza, however, was unimpressed. Suddenly, the captain drew his sword, ready to eliminate this menace, the second ruler. Xiaomei and Zed were about to intervene, but they were held back by the guards. Terrified, the second ruler immediately employed divine power to flee. Just as the captain was about to eliminate the third ruler, Liza controlled him with the power of gold, and he was then cast into the dungeon. Xiaomei was not concerned for his safety, as the Baron would surely rescue him. Xiaomei and Zed's pet monsters had not been seen for a long time and could not be summoned. Thus, the two followed the footprints, preparing to search for them. Meanwhile, a horrifying scream echoed, and they discovered their own pets were slaughtering humans. Wanting to intervene, they hastily blew their summoning rings. The monster merely glanced back twice, then swiftly lunged at the two. Just as it was about to strike the other person, Zed unleashed the power of gold, instantly freezing the monster in its tracks.
Finally, we reconnect after all these years. I've missed you, but we'll be together soon.
Zed was also disturbed by the old hag. Instantly, Zed was knocked unconscious by a monster. Xiaomei swiftly drew her blade. But she was then knocked unconscious to the ground by another. By the time they regained consciousness, it was already night. On the ground lay several corpses, victims of the monster's brutality. They could not comprehend why the monsters were behaving so erratically. However, the rain-soaked ground made it impossible to track their footprints. They had no choice but to pack up and return to the outpost. Just as they arrived at their doorstep, they found the door ajar. Xiaomei drew her sword and slowly stepped inside. Suddenly, an assassin ambushed her from behind. After swiftly dodging the attack, she realized it was once again the same young girl who had previously tried to assassinate her. Without a doubt, she subdued her with a single move. The girl's name was Luna. She had come to avenge her sister, the Electrodragger, who had been killed by women of the Dual Power tribe in the first season.
The drugman.
Of course, this was just a misunderstanding, and Xiaomei also avenged her sister. Emperors 2 and 3 harbored a deep hatred for the captain imprisoned in the dungeon, and openly demanded that Lisa execute him. Even the execution order had already been prepared. As former good friends, the Baron and Lisa naturally would not agree. However, Emperor 2, disregarding their objections, snatched the execution order, signed his name, and commanded the soldiers to carry out the execution immediately. This greatly angered Lisa. Emperor 2 accused her of being too weak, and Lisa, as the queen, was prepared to show him her authority. However, she was unaware that if the opponent possessed Jean, its effect would be nullified. The arrogant Emperor 2, using the power of Jean, instantly teleported before Lisa and threatened her with a knife. He commanded the soldiers to execute the order immediately. At the same time, the Baron drew a small knife and plunged it in. This was the consequence of threatening the queen. He then rescinded the order. Emperor 2, on the verge of death, clung desperately to the Baron's leg and then transferred Jean to him. Jean slowly crept up to his forehead, and the Baron instantly became a member of the Trinity. Elated by his newfound ancient power, the Baron celebrated by drinking a bottle of renowned wine. As he drifted into a haze, the gold on his forehead glowed brightly, transporting him into a 1,000-year-old underground ancient tomb. He slowly rose and descended. And within lay the millennia-old hag, Werda, who had slept for 1,000 years, her teeth unbrushed. Curious, the Baron reached out to touch her. Suddenly, Werda's eyes sprang open, instantly terrifying the Baron.
There, you have come to us.
Stay away! Stay away!
It is time to make you there.
If there's ever time you're gonna work, now will be a good time. I will you to work. I am begging you to work! I'm begging you!
At the same moment, Emperor 3, summoned by the ancient hag, arrived at the dungeon, prepared to unleash a massacre. Her hand of death slowly rose, and the green light on her forehead shone even brighter. As Wujiaxi's life came to an end, the green light on his head gradually faded away. So far, all those possessing Jean have been summoned by the millennia-old hag, Werda. Xiaomei, through her visions, drew an image of Werda. Her ears bore a striking resemblance to those of the Black Blood clan. Renee needed to return to the Grey Jade dimension to find the information necessary for understanding. They also prepared to seize this opportunity to bring over the Black Blood clan members and the monsters. A blue light illuminated Xiaomei's face, and soon a portal appeared, through which the three individuals stepped. Within the Grey Ember dimension, they had barely taken a few steps before discovering a horrific scene. On the smoke-filled battlefield, dead monsters lay everywhere.
Who would do such a thing?
I don't know.
As they approached the entrance, Dong'an sensed something was amiss. Usually, 2 guards would be stationed at the entrance, but now it was deserted. Inside the cave, an even more gruesome scene unfolded. It looked as if a great battle had just occurred, with chaotic piles of bodies everywhere. These were almost all Black Blood tribesmen and monsters. Upon inspection, they discovered other Two-Fist tribesmen among the corpses. This meant that the Black Blood Two-Fist tribesmen were responsible for this brutal massacre. At the same time, 3 Two-Fist tribesmen approached and immediately engaged in a fight without a word. It was then that Dong'an discovered a child's rag doll. After dealing with several Two-Fist tribesmen, there was no sign of the child, implying the child was still alive. Zed went to look for his brother Qian, while Dong'an and his companions searched for the ancient documents left by his mother. However, they found nothing after searching the entire cave. Soon, Zed and Qian returned. Fortunately, Qian brought all the documents. Suddenly, an arrow struck Dong'an, and a group of people surrounded them. Qian, who had a troubled mind, simply ran away. Just as they were about to attack, a volley of arrows rained down, quickly eliminating the Two-Fist tribesmen. It turned out that Qian, who had just run away, had brought reinforcements. The woman's name was Della, and she was Zed's childhood companion. They hid the child beneath a cave. This was the last remnant of Black Blood civilization. Then Xiaomei opened a portal. Just then, Qian spotted a Two-Fist tribesman who was not yet dead and deftly parried a sword strike. Zed noticed this and used his Shaoli flying dagger technique, but Qian was left behind forever. Meanwhile, a glowing circle appeared at the tavern, and Xiaomei emerged, followed by the last vestiges of Black Blood civilization. That night, the Baron discovered soldiers transporting goods outside the city. When he opened the cloth, inside lay the prisoners whose lives had been drained by the Third. Just then, the Third bid farewell to Lisa, saying he was going to the ancient tomb to find the old hag Woda. Upon hearing the news, Xiaomei and Zed prepared to secretly follow, curious to see what kind of monster it was. Simultaneously, the restless Luna also followed them. The 3 followed him into a cave. The Third, summoned by Woda, revealed a massive green light above his head, representing dozens of human lives. The 3 of them, including Xiaomei, also stealthily entered.
I am here, by the command of the gods.
My body is weak. Its restoration. It's hastening.
I am honored to serve you.
Fully restored, Woda slowly descended, his heavy boots echoing with each step. 2 monsters stood guard, one on each side. King Qin III also knelt in reverence before the so-called deity. Xiaomei found it curious that a god would still require healing. Meanwhile, Woda spotted them. The 3 immediately fled. However, all exits were already blocked by the monsters. They were forced to run back. It was then that Xiaomei discovered a small opening. She first urged Luna to crawl through. Zed held off the monsters to buy them time. The purple gold marks on his face glowed, instantly subduing the monster.
Enslavement, Kiri!
Dad, watch out!
Take him!
Dad!
Is that thing out there doing that? It's a lump on her forehead.
At that very moment, a stone tumbled from above, sealing the opening. Not long after, they crawled out from the stone crevice. By the time they emerged, Woda and the monsters had already departed. Above them was the pattern Xiaomei had seen in her vision. Luna used her knife to pry off the gem from above. Meanwhile, on Woda's side, the monster carried Zed into a cave by the vast sea. Xiaomei followed, tracing the footprints.
Take all the life you can hold. Terra, my love, you will have all your strength again.
King 3 extended his hand, preparing to absorb the monster's life force. Zed, lying on the ground, cried out loudly to stop him. Woda, employing his divine power, slowly lifted a massive stone, then hurled it towards Zed. Soon after, the monster's life force was completely absorbed. Next, King 3 transferred the newly absorbed life force to Keela, and Boss Keela slowly emerged.
At last, I live again.
He then walked before King 3, reached out, gripped her neck, and slowly lifted her. Employing the power of dark gold, he transformed King 3, who had worshipped him as a god, into ash and smoke. Subsequently, King 3's essence drifted into the distance, preparing to resurrect another god. Just as they were about to finish off Zed, Xiaomei swiftly struck them unconscious from behind with a stone, then quickly helped Zed escape the cave. The two powerful deities also pursued them, chasing them into a forest. Woda, using his divine power, telekinetically lifted a thick log and swiftly hurled it towards Zed. Just as Keela rapidly advanced, an arrow struck him. A second arrow was then loosed. It was revealed that even the gods bled black blood. Luna swiftly fired an arrow at Woda, hitting her directly in the abdomen. Immediately after, a second arrow was launched, suddenly altering its trajectory to strike the little girl. The girl quickly turned and fled. Severely wounded, Woda drew the sword embedded in her. For these ancient, 1,000-year-old monsters cannot be vanquished by conventional means. Back at the outpost, amidst the data retrieved from Oyu, Jianza uncovered an ancient rune. These very runes had previously been observed within a mysterious subterranean chamber at the outpost. Jianza and Ren once again descended into the underground chamber, locating the 4 keys they had encountered earlier. They then inserted the keys into their respective slots, guided by the symbols inscribed upon them. As Jianza inserted the final key, the mechanism reacted abruptly, causing a violent impact. His nose was dislodged by the impact of the lock, a sight Ren could not tolerate, so he promptly straightened it back into place.
He's a handsome nose. Or better.
Simultaneously, the central stone sarcophagus inexplicably shifted aside, revealing what appeared to be an even greater secret concealed beneath. The two descended the ladder, discovering a mysterious apparatus at the room's core, adorned with 7 spherical objects. Beyond the confines of the room lay a chasm of unfathomable depth. As they approached the device, they observed that each sphere bore distinct symbols and handprints, with 7 in total. It suggested the existence of 7 deities. At its center was a large aperture, resembling a keyhole crafted for a gear-shaped key. The purpose of these intricate components remained a mystery to all. Just as Xiaomei and her companion returned to the outpost, the self-proclaimed gods once again summoned all 4 of them to the capital of the Qin kingdom. Fully aware they were being sent to their doom, Xiaomei and Zed naturally resisted, but Queen Lissa had them confined in cages and forcibly taken. Only recently, the green gold substance that had departed from Sanshur now drifted to an ancient subterranean tomb beneath the capital of Tong Kingdom, penetrating a millennia-old coffin and subsequently reawakening its dormant deity.
Sister Janya, I see you.
Sister Water.
Regain your strength, sister. Soon we will be reunited.
Upon its reawakening, it instantly siphoned the life force from the city's entire populace, achieving a complete revitalization. Gaia emerged, her worn, soiled leather shoes treading heavily. Under the cover of night, the captain and Luna infiltrated the encampment. Having bypassed the guards, they prepared to liberate Xiaomei and Zed. It was at this critical moment that a soldier discovered their presence. Xiaomei swiftly delivered a knife strike, yet failed to pierce a vital point. The quartet was left with no option but to rapidly disperse and flee. Following closely behind, the Baron also emerged in pursuit. Employing the power of gold, he then instantaneously transported himself before the captain. The Baron did not intend to capture the captain, his sole purpose was to free Lisa from Jin's control. He also knew that this visit to the capital would surely be fraught with danger. He then entrusted the king's ring to the captain, instructing him to manage the outpost until his return. At this moment, the capital was desolate, strewn with corpses from which life had been drained. Just as the Baron was about to turn back, were to summon them.
Come to your gods.
Following the guidance, the two arrived at an ancient underground tomb and knelt before three beings purported to be gods.
Do you not realize, stupid human, you are nothing but cross to be harvested?
Suddenly, a hand seized her neck. Lisa was then instantly reduced to ash. Subsequently, the crimson gene slowly drifted towards another deity.
What have you done?
As they moved to strike the Baron, a swift blade descended. Just as the gods were about to deliver a fatal blow, the Baron utilized Jin's power to vanish and escape swiftly. Back at the outpost, Luna learned that Jianzi and his companions had gone to the underground Black Blood City. Curiously, she asked Jianzi to take her there, and they unexpectedly uncovered an astonishing secret.
This is the end of the world!
Whoa.
Am I dead?
The next day, since Jianzi did not understand the Black Blood language, he brought Rain down to investigate the situation. However, a strange event occurred. It turned out that the underground city concealed thousands of aliens. Subsequently, a body was taken to Jianzi's research laboratory. The alien, which had slumbered for 1,000 years, suddenly began to tremble uncontrollably, terrifying all three of them. Upon contact with fresh air, it immediately vomited a mouthful of black blood. Jianzi explained. If its physiology is similar to ours, a lack of oxygen would cause its respiratory tract to swell, leading to suffocation if not treated promptly. Jianzi casually produced some herbs, poured in a bottle of long-preserved Maotai, added a bottle of unexpired raw milk, and stirred the mixture. Then, taking a funnel, he inserted it into the alien's mouth and poured the mixture into the funnel. The purpose was to keep its respiratory tract clear. Suddenly, the alien spewed a mouthful of ancient saliva, directly spraying it onto his face. At last, the alien was successfully revived. In the capital of Qin Kingdom, after neutralizing 2 guards, Xiaomei and her 2 companions successfully entered the Museum of Tong Kingdom. The mischievous Luna secretly hid a peculiar plaque. Meanwhile, Luna seemed to hear a sound, and she slowly followed it. Just as Xiaomei stepped forward to stop her, 3 swords lunged out. It turned out that Xiaomei had discovered bloodstains on the ground. Suddenly, Luna discovered a key in a hole in the wall and retrieved it. With the key in hand, the trio prepared to depart. However, just as they reached the doorway, 4 ancient monsters slowly approached, blocking their path. Their target was Xiaomei and the key she possessed. Jianzi's sister could not be of much help, so Xiaomei told her to leave first, but Luna refused to depart.
This is not a fight you can win.
You mustn't know me very well.
Surrender yourselves, and the Skevikor key.
No. Oops. You get the key! Get back to the outpost! I'm not leaving without that key. Get me out of here!
Do not kill her! Asta must be awakened at last.
Naya, who had left earlier, rode back on horseback and took the unconscious Luna away. Xiaomei instructed the Baron to take the key and traverse to the outpost, telling Jianzi to destroy the key first. He, in turn, was struck down by 2 blows. The Baron traveled back, gave the key to Jianzi, and then returned to rescue Xiaomei. But the place was already deserted. By this time, Xiaomei had been captured and imprisoned in an ancient underground tomb. Kuda prepared to use fire, coercing the Baron, who was some distance away, to hand over the key. Suddenly, the gold on the Baron's face lit up.
The cowards who imprison Liver and Gollum. We have the one who carries the betrayer. Until you bring yourselves to us, we will torture her until she is lost to you.
Everyone believed this was a trap. If the Baron went, they would kill him and use the gold from his body to revive another god. However, no one knew the location of the ancient tomb. Only the Baron, who had once traveled through time, donned his finest armor to rescue Xiaomei, then entrusted the king's ring to the captain. Having made his preparations, he instantly traversed to Xiaomei's side and swiftly cut the ropes binding her. He was quickly discovered by the old hag.
Don't wait for me. I can leave whenever I want. Go. Go.
Just then, Keela pierced the Baron's body with a sword. Then, grabbing his neck, she used divine power to instantly turn the Baron into ash and smoke. Meanwhile, the gold within his body slowly ascended, then drilled into a 1,000-year-old coffin, awakening Val, the Golden Lord, who was fully resurrected.
Welcome, Lever. Now we are 5.
Vorta. Thousands of years. Trapped, robbed of my essence. There is no punishment painful enough for Asta. Where is he?
He still sleeps.
Good. Then may he sleep forever.
We will need him to wake the Kavi to serve us.
For now, we save our brother Gollum. It is your turn to return to the fold, Gollum.
It turned out that the purple gold within Zed's body had its true host in Galu, an ancient god. Dong An and the other person meticulously cared for the alien who had just awakened from the mummy. On his ear, there were 6 short and 1 long symbol. Dong An believed it recorded the number of S people. Therefore, they locked him up with iron chains. He was the Nupukui people spoken of by the gods. When the captain and his group returned, the Kawi person had already vanished. Just at this moment, the Kawi person was being cornered by Monty. The captain and his companion also quickly arrived. Just as the KVI man attempted to act, Zed swiftly used Zijin to restrain him.
You. How do you have the power of the Masters? You can talk.
That's good. Because he's got a lot of talking to do.
He was then confined to an iron cage, remaining silent despite the captain's persistent interrogations. Finally, under the allure of Jinza's large chicken leg, he began to speak. He had no name, only a codename. His codename was less than 313. Their sole purpose in existence was to serve their master. Without human command, they would harm no one. However, the voice that issued their commands had faded over a millennium ago. And their master was the 1,000-year-old sorceress, Woda. Jinza brought him to the underground Black Blood City beneath the outpost, where his descriptions gradually began to unravel the mystery. It was revealed that thousands of years ago, the KVI people and their master resided within the Ash Smoke Dimension. With the destruction of the Ash Smoke Dimension, they followed their master across several worlds, perpetually cycling between states of slumber and awakening. However, while in slumber, they were brought to this world, from which Xiaomei, rescued at the cost of the Baron's life, managed to escape. After her escape, gravely injured, she sought refuge within a villager's animal pen. Upon learning that Xiaomei intended to return to the outpost, the woman immediately pledged to offer her full assistance. For everyone had heard the tale of the Black Blood clan of the outpost vanquishing Yerua. No sooner had she spoken than the woman's life force began to be slowly drained away. Simultaneously, the blue-gold markings on Xiaomei's face rapidly illuminated. The woman then collapsed, deceased, a distinctive mark left upon her forehead. As Xiaomei approached the window, she bore witness to an utterly horrifying sight. The life forces of all the villagers were slowly drawn towards the green gold of the ancient god. Then, Jaya released the absorbed life forces to the other three deities.
This is the price of immortality. That's enough, Janya.
You must keep a reserve to wake the Kavi.
This was the reason for their millennia-long existence. Subsequently, Kuda, the god of red gold, unleashed flames, poised to incinerate a village. Xiaomei hastily dodged, then swiftly fled the room, mounting 2 horses to make a rapid escape. Jaya couldn't help but remark, recalling their initial arrival in this world, how easily they had acquired so many lives, enough to sustain them for a considerable period. Having narrowly escaped death, Xiaomei returned to the outpost. To avert unrest, they decided to initially conceal the deaths of the queen and king, allowing the captain to continue managing all affairs. Jianzi then led Xiaomei to the dungeon to observe the Kavi man. Xiaomei became extremely agitated upon seeing something that closely resembled the so-called gods. Jianzi explained. There were 7 ancient gods, while the Kavi people, who served as slaves, were numerous. The Kavi people stated. They had a great need for Navis. According to Jianzi's analysis, it was likely the gold separated from platinum, specifically the gold that Yavala splintered off in the 3rd season, which allowed her to control everyone, making them a part of herself. At this point, Jianzi seemed to recall something. In a mysterious underground room at the outpost, numerous dense tubes connected to each sphere. The other end of these tubes was presumably connected to the Kavi people. Utilizing these tubes, they could transfer the splintered gold to each Kavi person, thereby controlling them. There were 7 spheres, each bearing a palm print, signifying that all 7 gods needed to work in unison to awaken all the Kavi people. Xiaomei, possessing blue gold, and Zid, possessing purple gold, simultaneously pressed their hands onto the palm prints on the spheres, and the gold on their faces swiftly illuminated. In the scene, the god of purple gold controlled a woman who was in the act of slaughtering, making her place her child on a stone, then pick up a small knife, preparing to kill her own child. Just then, the god of blue gold tackled him to the ground and proceeded to beat him severely. This indicated that the god of blue gold was a benevolent and loving deity. Through the palm prints on the spheres, the two sensed the memories of the ancient gods. At this moment, Luna found Jianzi, complaining that an object kept emitting sounds, causing her great discomfort. This object was none other than what he had stolen from the National Museum. As he stood speechless, Ren picked it up, and light, passing through 7 colors, shone upon Ren's face. Upon seeing this, Jianzi instantly understood. He then used special equipment to project the light onto a map. Wasn't this the very location where the gods were resurrected? This implied that Jianzi had discovered the locations where the remaining 2 gods had yet to be resurrected. The most effective way to prevent the 7 gods from returning to their positions was to destroy them before they could awaken. They split up to act. Xiaomei and Luna went to search for the god of blue gold, while Zid and his 2 companions sought the god of purple gold. Following the map, they found a small crevice in the mountain. Upon entering, the 3 astonishingly discovered a 1,000-year-old coffin. Zid drew his sword and plunged it fiercely into a crack in the coffin.
I'm guessing that's gold.
Don't wake it up.
I don't think he'll wake up anytime soon. He looks pretty dead.
There's one way to make sure.
Yeah.
Fearing his resurrection would bring harm to humanity, they subsequently placed his corpse on a pyre, poured some essential oil, and then set him ablaze. Afterward, Zid and his 2 companions departed from the cave. Unexpectedly, they were pursued by Val, the Lord of Gold, halfway through their journey. In a moment of desperation, Zed unexpectedly transferred the violet gold to Monty, and then they split into 3 groups, making a swift escape. Just then, Krah, the black gold, arrived, caught up with Zed, sniffed him, and upon realizing the gold was no longer on him, turned to leave. Zed charged forward and engaged him in combat.
You wish to die?
I just want to see if you've got the guts to fight me one-on-one, without your friends to help you. Come on. We already killed your friend Golu. Yeah, we burned him to a crisp.
Just as he was about to reduce Zed to ashes, a backhand sword strike pierced Krah's body, followed by a kick, then a second, impaling him onto a tree trunk. Monty, however, was not as fortunate. The old monster instantly appeared with an invisibility flash, terrifying Monty, who grabbed Thor's hammer and swung it wildly, then used divine power to pierce his body from behind. She then instructed Monty not to make any mistakes, as she was going to find someone to extract the gold and revive Galu. It was at this moment Della unexpectedly encountered a gravely wounded Monty. Feeling that he was close to death, he transferred the violet gold to Della and urged her to return to the outpost quickly. She was unexpectedly slain by a monster on the way. He then seized her by the neck, instantly wielding the power of black gold, and reduced her to ash and smoke. The fallen violet gold slowly drifted upwards, then flew towards the direction of the cave. Gaia, who could revive the dead, followed the violet gold all the way to the resting place of the ancient god Galu. Just moments ago, Galu had been burned to ashes by Zed and his 2 companions, but Gaia was unfazed. She unleashed human life force upon the pile of ashes. In less than a minute, Galu, who had been reduced to ashes, miraculously resurrected.
They burned your body. It took many lives to restore you.
Where are the others? Are we all awake?
All except Aster.
Then it is time.
Fortunately, Monty, not fatally wounded, was slowly helped by Zed towards the outpost. Meanwhile, back at the outpost, shortly after Xiaomei and her companions left, Jianzhe found the Kavi people, presented the names of 7 gods, and sought to understand their proper order. Seizing Jianzhe's inattention, the Kavi people knocked him unconscious with a slab, then took the list and the key to the mysterious device, proceeded to the underground city, and inserted the key into the device. After turning it 3 times left and 3 times right, with a twist of the neck, a wondrous scene unfolded. Thousands of slumber pods slowly emerged from the walls. Concurrently, Jianzhe and Lei Yan also arrived. Witnessing this scene, they were also greatly astonished. What the Kavi people were searching for was precisely their son, who was in slumber. After retrieving the key, they requested Jianzhe's help in awakening their son. Their actions displeased Jianzhe greatly, and the request was immediately denied. Just as Lei Yan stepped forward to snatch the key from them, the vigilant Kavi people knocked both of them unconscious and tied them up. When they awoke, a mummy had appeared on the ground. Soon after, the Kavi people brought a sack of herbs and untied Jianzhe. They then cut open the mummy that the Kavi people had brought. Inside was an alien creature identical to them, and this creature was their son. Upon encountering the fresh air, it began to convulse incessantly. Jianzhe did not find the medicine he needed. Instead, he hastily produced a bottle of cough syrup and poured it into the boy's mouth to keep his airway clear. However, this did not save him. The father's reckless actions ultimately led to the demise of his own son. Meanwhile, Xiaomei located the resting place of the last ancient god, Aster. She had visited this place once before with Zaid in the 2nd season. After a thorough search, they did not find the coffin where Aster was slumbering. Luna possessed extraordinary hearing and sight, so Xiaomei asked her to use her auditory senses. Calming herself, Luna then heard a low, resonant call. After sifting through the ground, she discovered a lid. The 2 quickly brushed away the sand, revealing a stone disc inscribed with strange runes. It was covered in numerous inscriptions in the Black Blood language, one section of which read,
Sleep in peace, great father, for all eternity. Only if black blood adorns these words do we call upon your soul to rejoin this world.
Neither of them understood it, suggesting it might be a riddle. Luna then instructed Xiaomei to adorn the inscriptions with her own black blood, following the meaning on the stone disc. Xiaomei drew a dagger and swiftly cut her thumb. The spirit veil crystal in his hand had kept him in slumber for thousands of years. After removing the bandages from his body, Xiaomei drew her sword, ready to destroy him if necessary before he awoke, thereby preventing the return of the 7 gods. At that moment, the mischievous Luna retrieved the crystal from his hand. The low voice she had just heard emanated from this very stone. It was also inscribed with black blood characters. And Xiaomei herself was a member of the black blood tribe. She took the crystal, and just as she was about to examine it closely,
Guardian of the Kinship, if you, the keeper of my essence, has uncovered my sleeping body seeking answers, and the time I hope would never have come has descended upon us. The moment to awaken me has arrived. Reunite body and soul. Send Kinship home.
The crystal in her hand, along with the golden essence on Xiaomei's face, represented the soul of the ancient god Aster. Through the crystal, he emitted a signal, urging Xiaomei to awaken him. In her memories from the mysterious sphere, Xiaomei had seen the other 6 gods refer to him as a traitor. She had also witnessed Aster fiercely fighting his own brethren to save a human child. However, wherever the 6 awakened gods went, spirits were scattered. Xiaomei was uncertain if Aster was a righteous god. Yet, she trusted her intuition and transferred the ever-present golden essence to Aster.
Be ready for anything. Why do the others of your kind call you the betrayer? Speak up. Come this far. Why do they call you the betrayer?
I see you, Aster. You have risen sooner than expected. The time has come for you to pay for your sins.
It was revealed that 2,000 years ago, the other 6 gods, in their pursuit of immortality, had almost drained all life from humanity. To stop them, Aster betrayed his own kind, seizing the opportunity to put them into a deep slumber, ultimately transforming them into golden soul essences and concealing them within the stone disc. What he hadn't anticipated was that this artifact would be used by others to revive other gods. Inscribed on the walls were the guardians of Ast, passed down through generations, and the last name recorded was precisely Xiaomei's grandmother. At this moment, he brought Xiaomei to the place where the Black Blood tribe once resided. As Ast recounted the tale, all mysteries were unveiled. It turned out that after the destruction of the Grey Ember Dimension, they searched hundreds of worlds and finally discovered a human world with advanced civilization, where they befriended its inhabitants. In her memories, Xiaomei saw that the child Ast protected was the offspring of Ast and a human, and that child was the first of the Black Blood tribe, meaning Ast was Xiaomei's ancestor. He once used the Akora dagger to put them into slumber. The knife's material originated from another world. Before his own slumber, 6 such daggers were left behind, but all have since been lost. Only Xiaomei's mother had preserved one, and after her mother's death, Xiaomei picked it up. Simultaneously, Ast communicated through visions, arranging to meet the other 6 gods at the outpost. He decided to bring a definitive end to everything this time.
Betrayer, are you ready to pay for your sins?
I am ready. Meet me at the Skipper Core. That's where we will settle our differences. And we can begin again.
So it shall be.
So it shall be.
What have you done?
I have set the wheels turning. The end begins now.
Meanwhile, a crisis also unfolded at the outpost. Val, the god of gold, materialized within the outpost's dungeon. With a mere tug, the cell door automatically swung open. The Kawaii people, on the other hand, were servants they had cultivated for over a millennium. Among thousands of Kawaii, only he was spared by Jianzhe. And the gods required these servants to aid them in conquering this world. He was immediately given an order, to eliminate Jianzhe and Lei Yin. Val, meanwhile, was tasked with eliminating the captain and Zeta. No sooner had the words been spoken. The 10 guards on duty discovered her. Val instantly teleported behind them. He quickly subdued the 2 guards, then teleported away. The kawaii casually picked up the sword from the ground.
I will not fail you, master.
He then stealthily entered Jianzhe's room, and just as he was about to act, he accidentally stepped on some documents on the floor. Jianzhe awoke with a start, rose to stop him, but was sent flying by a slap. As he pointed the sword at Dongyin, she anxiously declared her pregnancy, pleading with the kawaii not to harm the child. The kawaii, having just lost his own son, finally had his conscience awakened. Jianzhe declared, "From this moment forward, you are no longer a slave, you are free to choose the life you desire." The kawaii slave, controlled by the gods for a millennium, had a change of heart, dropping the sword he held. Immediately after, Fei Kuei rushed out. Unaware of the danger, the captain was still on patrol, as the Covey people swiftly approached.
Danzo's friend, run! How did you escape this time? The master, she's coming! Run! No more chances! This ends now!
Fascinating. The Carvi have discovered free will. I'm surprised you didn't run away.
Tubin is dead because of you. He was a good man.
There's no such thing.
The Covey people pierced Val with a sword from behind. Severely wounded, Val could only escape through a portal. Gaia, who could even revive the dead, released her life force to heal her. Meanwhile, the Covey people who had saved the captain's life also became allies of humanity. Barely clinging to life, Monty was fortunate to be chosen for surgery and brought back to consciousness. In a mysterious room within the underground city, thousands of Covey people, exposed to the air because the stasis pods opened by the Covey with a key lacked the correct activation method, awaited their individual fates. Using the same method, Jianza and Rain were also unable to close the stasis pods. Meanwhile, a scout from the front reported that 6 ancient gods were already advancing upon the outpost. At this moment, Xiaomei, Aster, and a third person also returned. Aster required a quiet environment to explore the cosmos and devise a method to eliminate the 6 ancient gods. When Xiaomei informed Zed that Aster was the ancestor of the entire Black Blood clan, Zed was utterly astonished. Xiaomei asked Luna to stay and accompany him. No sooner had the words been spoken than the 6 gods arrived near the outpost. Subsequently, all villagers were evacuated outside the city. After a certain method was conceived by the thinkers, the ancient gods finally discovered another Elysium capable of eliminating the other 6 deities. A blue light illuminated on his forehead, and a portal instantly materialized before his eyes. Inside lay a void of ultimate cold and desolation. Xiaomei slowly stepped forward, intending to reach out and touch it. Aster hastily grabbed her hand, and ice quickly formed on his fingers. The icy aura emanating from the space instantly froze the grapes on the table and the small tree nearby into solid ice. The glass bottle on the table immediately shattered. This was the method to eliminate the 6 ancient gods, send them one by one into this extreme space, where they would eventually freeze into dust. And this task required Xiaomei to complete it. For as long as Aster was together with the 6 gods, their combined power would render him powerless to resist. To open the portal, Xiaomei needed to acquire the gold from Aster's body. The only way was to kill Aster with a blade made of Ukola material and extract the blue gold from him. However, this blade could only be used once, so the timing of the strike was crucial. To save this world and his Black Blood descendants, Aster was compelled to sacrifice himself, exchanging his own life for the lives of everyone else. At Xiaomei's request, Aster promised the Covey people he would help rescue all their kin. To successfully eliminate the 6 gods and rescue the Covey people, Aster laid out a detailed plan. When the gods return to their rightful place, they will undoubtedly come here to awaken the slumbering Covey people. First, Gaia will release her life force to awaken them. Then, Vorta will transmit the gold he has separated, through a tube, implanting it into the bodies of the Covey people, thus controlling them. Xiaomei and her companions' only chance is for Xiaomei to swiftly use the Acra blade to kill Aster unexpectedly, interrupting them just as Vorta's gold is about to reach the Covey people. She must then seize the blue gold from Aster's body, open the gate of ultimate cold, and send them in, one by one. Xiaomei then inquired.
Was there even a chance this plan will work?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think it's more likely that you will all die today.
Meanwhile, the 6 ancient gods had arrived before the city gates. After a moment of awe, they slowly proceeded towards the city. The civilians of the outpost had long since been evacuated. Yu and Aster had been waiting at the city gate for a long time.
We meet again, betrayer.
What kind of being betrays his own kind?
I did what I thought was right.
Now, kneel before us. Kneel. Now, lead us to the Skeptical.
In the room, Xiaomei awaited Luna. Should the mission fail, they would smash the switch, trapping everyone below. Just then, Aster, accompanied by the gods, was already approaching the room. The two had no choice but to take cover. A moment later, the 7 gods had reached the basement. After taking their designated positions, they placed their palms upon the spherical object.
Janya.
They then channeled the absorbed human life force into the tubes beneath the sphere, which slowly transferred it to the thousands of slumbering Covey people. The 3, including Monty, hidden below, were also utterly astonished. The mummies within the slumbering pods subsequently began to crack open. At this moment, Vorta's platinum swiftly illuminated, instantly splitting into thousands of golden fragments, which then flowed into the tubes beneath the sphere. Just then, Xiaomei emerged, clutching a knife. As the gold in the tubes was about to be transferred to the Covey people, Xiaomei slowly advanced.
I'm sorry.
Where have you sent them?
The same place I'm sending you.
At this point, a Covey warrior rushed forward, only to be swiftly controlled by the purple gold. Vorta transmitted the separated gold to him. The Covey warrior became Vorta's pawn, then launched an attack on Xiaomei, only to be ultimately kicked into the abyss by her. Zed, without his gold, was also swiftly brought under the control of the purple gold. The charging captain was forced into a corner by the flames and ultimately subdued by the purple gold. Immediately thereafter, the two focused their attack on Xiaomei. Left alone, Xiaomei had no choice but to make a swift escape. Having climbed to the exit above, she prepared to press the switch to close the channel's door. At this moment, the god of gold gave chase. Luna quickly fired several arrows, forcing him to stop in his tracks. Xiaomei pulled the switch, and the door slowly began to close. Just as Xiaomei smashed the switch with her sword hilt, the god of gold unleashed flames thousands of degrees hot. As the cave entrance closed, a ceiling beam detached and struck Luna. Xiaomei quickly got up and kicked the wood away, but Luna's arm was still severely burned. However, in the underground city, the awakened Covey people began to emerge from their shells one by one. The Covey person kicked down by Xiaomei also awoke after Zed poured liquid on them. Controlled by Vorta, he immediately ordered the Covey people to kill all humans. Stunned with fear, Jans and Rain quickly fled, leaving Monty to fight alone. After running into another room, Jans seized the opportunity to press the switch, closing the door. Meanwhile, the underground exit was breached by flames. After they ascended, the controlled captain and Zed rushed to pursue Xiaomei.
I don't have a choice but to kill you!
Just then, with 2 knives held to Xiaomei's throat, as Gala prepared to order them to act, the blue gold markings on Xiaomei's face suddenly lit up.
Do you think I'll step into it? Kill her.
With the death of the purple gold Galu, the captain and Zed were also freed from control. 4 of the 7 gods had now been defeated. The final showdown would be next.
We are forever.
With the demise of Vorta, the god of platinum, the Kavi people he controlled regained consciousness and immediately declared to their kin that humans were their friends, and that they would no longer serve anyone. The Kavi people, enslaved for thousands of years, were finally liberated. Aster, who was willing to sacrifice himself to save the world, was ultimately sent to the Elysian fields by Xiaomei. The Kavi people and humans lived in harmony. Xiaomei, who had always behaved like a man, wore the most beautiful wedding dress and married the captain. At the end of the story, Xiaomei donned the crown, becoming the most beautiful queen of the outpost.
Now, I don't pretend I'm as wise as Queen Rosman. But whether you're black blood, human, or Carvi, we are all one people. And I swear as long as I live, I will serve all people of this realm. I will be your queen. If this is what you all want.